watch the Day Beyond TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying? Break it down. Some of these energy put in the title. Let's just say I said rebalancing our reality. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna jump right in. So for the most part, when we talk about, we're going through Capricorn season. So shout out to all the Capricorn, sun, moon, and ascendants, but it's really the sun time. Then we in Capricorn season now, so we are now initiating the actual winter portion of the year. You know what I'm saying? It's the clean out time. This is the time for things to now freeze over. To as far for the most part, Capricorn it's like a season. We're looking at all the things you achieved and accomplished, and the whole idea is, there's always kind of two frames to look at these types of things, right? There's a frame we look at it from the society Masonic world viewpoint, which is more so wanting you to as something to be kind of feel like things are completed into the new year. You feeling like, okay, yeah, I can sit back and relax. But in the grand scheme of things, when you understand kind of how the actual natural cycles move, you start to recognize that, okay, there's actually a different energy at play that we might be incorporating in the current moment. And that's to be the more natural inclination is to look at what you was able to achieve and accomplish, but then to start to set the tone to create foundation, or I like to look at Capricorn like a blueprint for the next phase of your life. And so this energy, you're less about like sitting back and feeling like things are completed. Instead, you are an active participant in pretty much like the transition to where you actually trying to take things. So what I mean by that is, like, one season really it's about getting more serious, getting a bit more strict about certain things, and not necessarily working yourself. One thing about I think is a misconception that even though it's ruled by Saturn, Capricorns aren't necessarily like the hustle mentality that you might associate with things isn't necessarily a quality. So you might misconstrue like the Capricorn energy with gotta like do the most when it comes to work and business, and they gotta work nonstop and so in love with their work that they never have no free time. No, Capricorn is about Capricorn is not about it's more so about working smarter rather than harder. So the energy that's more so always in the mix is more so Virgo. Virgo is more like always in the mix as far as work ethic goes, and trying to put details and things together, because it's the day-to-day function. So if you would structure of a business, right, the foundation of that business will be considered Taurus. Taurus is low moving, but it's stable. So it's slow, stable, steady. Then you got then you got Virgo. Virgo is the always in the mix, got to make its present every day to make sure that the business itself is functioning efficiently. So it's moving and shaking. It's like, okay, every day we got the routine, we know what we got on the schedule, boom. Got Capricorn. Capricorn is more so the system in place. So this is like your higher ups, your managers, your supervisors, I should say, right? Managers more so is on the lower level. They got to be at the store, or they got to be at the company, the business, to make sure it's running smooth, and they a lot of times have to pick up the slack and direct individuals on what to do and where to go. But the higher you go up in a business, you already know it's more so about an individual who's giving others orders or delegating to them to kind of do the groundwork and get things moving. But it's their vision. So Capricorn plays out as that 10th house space, the vision, more so the system of how you trying to structure things. Shout out to Ton of Vision, and shout out to Cash Lang. You know what I'm saying? So kind of the energy you get with Capricorn. Capricorn more so you got to be the boss about things. Being the boss is knowing the difference between a task that's worth your time and knowing how to delegate, and understanding also how to work with one's resources. So Capricorn season is more so you being more responsible with your resources, and those resources being your mind. You know what I'm saying? Before you get to feel, you might be only looking at money. Money is an afterthought. It's something that comes after. What came before, though, or the core of things, and what I like that people more so pay more attention to, it's all balanced, but again, the source of things is way more important than the what comes after. That's something I like to look at, like when you're even how you understand, like when we talk about different religions, and then the difference between religion and spirituality. Yeah, religion can do things for you as far as a spiritual system, but when you look at the source of where that religion came up with the ideology. That's more so getting to just raw spirituality. And when you know your spirit, when you tap into that energy, you're coming from source rather than being an afterthought. Because any afterthought, you are subjected to whatever was left out, or a bias that was only directed for that angle or that direction for life, versus you going and connecting more so to spirituality and you gaining the source access. So now you can define, or you can move and navigate in many different realms, in many different worlds, and not just be tied into one worldview and things like that. Shout out to Ton of Vision. He said, retrograde, you are the context to your other fire energies. Prioritize your stage. Exactly. And we gonna get into that because Mars is playing a key role. Mars right now, you know what I'm saying, we in the midst of, like, Mars is really that kind of stop and go energy, but it's really just for you to remap and restructure, you know, reorganize, like Tunnel Vision basically said, prioritizing your stage and understanding what matters to you as far as where you want to direct your attention. Because all of that Mars energy that right now, that is the only warmth we really got. I mean, we got the North Node, but the North Node is phasing into Pisces. So it's almost like that flame that was kind of leading us for our spiritual path is coming to a peaceful resolve because 1 degrees Aries. And see, when it goes into Pisces, if you just think element wise, right? Sometimes I like to look at the zodiac transitions and the planets and look at, like, understanding the elements they're going into, because all of this stuff is, you know, open the interpretation. That's why you can watch many different people. You can watch my channel, Ton of Vision, Saint Uno, Mooney Mercury, all these different individuals, Jackie New, the Hanged Empress. I could go on and on. Y'all know the list. But you can watch many different people, and everybody got interpretation of how they're, you know, receiving this. But you know, from my interpretation, like, I like to look at the elements and understand the phases that you're going through energetically. So when you're talking to both, and see, ironically, you got Aries, the North Node, going to Pisces, and then you also got Mars phasing its way, making its way into Cancer. So you got both of these fire energies that are trining at the moment that are going to carry that gift into the water. So that once that flame, again, too afraid. That's why I said a few lives back, I was saying, you know, don't be too afraid of you feeling like that fire that you had that was in the way, that light that you had. Don't get too worried about, like, maintaining that same intensity, because with energy is constantly moving. It's like, it's about transmutation. So understand that what was passionately is more so going to a space where you're more so, like, in the intuitive of it. So you're more so feeling it out. It's way more about interest and what's moving your interest at the moment. That flame and that fire is still there, but it's being reconverted into more water. So this can be your driving force. This could be what gives you that internal motivation, but it's got to come from more so the emotional aspect. So this is like a time in which you don't want to be too heavily you don't want to, you want to be mindful of, first of all, at this point in time, you're looking at things you accumulated as far as experiences that taught you things. You're trying to apply all these different things. Again, these are your resources. So in Capricorn season, you're restructuring, reformatting, taking all your resources and figuring out how to basically delegate your attention, delegate your time, delegate what you want to have your mind on, right? I was saying before, keep your mind more so directed in the direction of things you want to reproduce. Spend too much of your mind kind of looking at the woulda, coulda, shouldas of life and being like, damn, coulda did that and I fucked up there. And it's like, it's good to have that self-awareness, but you know, it's like, again, Capricorn is one of those energies where you have to up a lot of that water. It's earth, and it's cardinal earth. So we need to soak up this water so that we can be more efficient and make stable steps. So no matter you are as far as positioning in your journey and where you trying to go in life, it's still for you to make that planet step. And for each step you make, this is going to be you kind of climbing that mountain. Now, if you want to complain and you're looking at how big the mountain is for you or how long the journey looks like from your position, and you can allow yourself to waste time coming up with a bunch of imaginations of why it's not worth it. Understand that you're just in a space where you're not really standing on business. And shout out to Saint Uno, because I was in his live earlier. It was like last night or something like that. And no, I mean, he was saying some real shit. So if you haven't seen that, you should check that out. But You know, he's some real shit. It is standing on business season, and you got to make sure you're thorough. You got to make sure, you know, when it comes to the things you want to actually achieve in life, you're serious about it. And see, this is going to every time, you know, we going through Capricorn season, it's testing to see how serious you really are about those goals, how serious you really are about your game plan, or about just how you see yourself, depending on what area of life you got Capricorn in. That's going to be kind of the thing. You're like, hey, am I really serious about this? Am I standing on my business? Am I being authentic, thorough, and actually going forward with the things that I said I was really trying to do? And this might, again, we're in retrograde season. Mars itself is going to be opposite this Cap eventually, right now it's like maybe 4 or 3 degrees Leo, right? But it's going backwards, so it's going to be in Cancer very soon. And that energy is going to make you feel kind of maybe this tug of war between what you see and what's, you know, what you want to express. But at the same time, and see, that expression of things, not express, but, you know, your passions and things, these are going to become things that you care more about. And see, the whole idea between, I like to look at all oppositions is really like opportunities in and of themselves. That's why they start with the same sequence, the OPP. And it's like, you know, saying it's like opportunities and oppositions. You know, you're looking at these two energies. Sometimes you don't, balance could be made. See, the balance between Capricorn and Cancer is, you know, Capricorn is very driven by what they care about. You know what I'm saying? You might, people, again, pop culture astrologers, they'll give you the rundown of a Capricorn energy and make it seem like they ain't got no, it seem like they operate and move, you know, in a way that's more so, you know, so hard and so tough. But a lot of times you kind of, you know, if you've been around enough Capricorns, you know, they got a soft sensitivity to them. And that comes from their position, right? And because even if y'all understand kind of like more advanced astrology, everybody got an earth sign. So if your sun sign is in Capricorn, your earth sign is in Cancer. You know, the earth sign is always opposite to where the sun sign at, which is why, and even though a lot of times we like to equate the sun to like, oh, that's your personality, but really got to understand the sun is really just your mask. It's something that you're trying to be seen as. So a lot of times your sun is something you're trying to figure out the best express. You know what I'm saying? So when you trying to figure yourself out and you first see you be like, oh, I should be just like my sun sign, but you don't realize that your earth sign, the opposite energy of your sun, is always kind of like the underlying energies that's actually motivating your growth. And it's your attempt to look like how you want you to look like how the sun is. So it's your constant desire to be seen as or express yourself as what you want to be as. It's that constant attempt to do that that also creates the polar opposite energy of your earth sign to be triggered, aka going through experiences, yeah, you're not quite that, or what you thought you was being seen as isn't quite that, and you got to work on those more so internal aspects. That becomes aspects of your vulnerability, your kind of traumas as you grow up and you're trying to fit, you know, be yourself, and you're trying to figure out what that is. A lot of that trauma can be even seen in under your earth sign. You know what I'm saying? So again, if you like for instance, an example, I'm a sun sign Pisces. So it's like at the sun, I'm trying to be seen as emotional and creative and imagination and, you know, faith. But oftentimes in my attempt to be more emotionally intelligent or to be more creative or, you know, in my emotions and watery and have faith and belief in all these different things and expand through experience, at every attempt I do to achieve that, I experience my earth sign as well as the kind of counterpart, the lessons that act that energy more either high octave, or this be the very same thing that make a energy low octave. So the earth sign for me would be Virgo. That would be me understanding the importance of needing a routine. If I'm trying to do some kind of creative work or some kind of elaborate dream, I need to be able to and create consistency around trying to do that. And see, that's why, like, again, try to go full force in your sun sign. You'll start to see very early on that it's like certain areas you just can't reach, certain aspect of character you can't reach until you match it with some of the opposition energy. So it's Capricorn. Capricorns can't be the boss, can't achieve success the way they really would love to until they learn some of their more aspects, until they learn how to care about something. Because you can, again, like I said before, Capricorns, just because you might label them hardworking because of Saturn and things like that, a lot of times they're more so procrastinators. They'll wait to the last something popping because maybe they have that confidence in them to know that they can do it, or they are waiting or allowing time to accumulate before they execute, because they understand like, okay, well, there's a certain system and they're waiting to put things in place, and so they got a strategy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's more so leaning on efficiency than just busy work. You know, the worker who will create more work for themselves is a Virgo. A Virgo will over examine something and create extras just to get something done, whereas a Capricorn is going to do more of a Saturnian aspect and take away steps. They're like, wait a minute, I don't actually have to do this thing. So if I don't have to do that, I'm gonna procrastinate on it to see if I really got to do it. And if I do, okay, I'll go ahead and knock it out. But if I don't got to do it, I'm gonna remove it from the plan so that it can be more efficient. So again, removal, efficiency, these are energies we can also apply to the sun being in Capricorn now. So when you're looking at your life right now and you're trying to figure out, okay, am I supposed to be moving in this season, right? So the full moon, we just left the full in Gemini. We passed the half point mark. So the half point mark in every moon cycle, right, is 2 half point marks. So when we get a full moon, so say in this example, the full moon was in Gemini, the half point would be the moon going through Virgo. And I think we had like 29 degrees Virgo moon at the moment. So that's the half point on the waning phase. Of course, we have a half point on the waxing phase. So the next new moon will be the new moon in Capricorn. That's a cardinal sign. When we get to the next half point, that'll be the moon going to Aries. And that'll be the half point of the waxing. Now, the importance of this is understand, same thing we look at seasons, right? We have spring, which is the birth of something. We have summer, which is the fixated portion where life is given, right? And we're fixated and we're moving that all the way into the fall. The fall initiates a transitional period, right? The fall time. And then that leads to the winter time, which is the fixated portion of that, where now things are true death and things are truly in the transition. And so it clears out all the way until we get spring. So grand wise, like, you know, if you're looking at the outer view of things, right, in grand scheme, you're looking at, again, we're going through winter time here and now. And then if you look at where we are moon wise, which is more macro, right, this is going from again, the full moon in Gemini was giving us all this information, and with this information was about how you gonna navigate with that. And so with that information you got, you should have already been making adjustments. The act of the waning period is where you're supposed to be kind of shedding things, so taking things off. So, you know, you can kind of tell where you at. If you want some low octave shit, you might want to experience and overdo it on trying to add more things to something because you think you didn't quite get the full gist of it. So this is where a lot of people fuck up. And then if you are higher octave, you're going to feel satisfied during the full moon and you're not going to need to know more. And this is going to be a natural shedding. So this is going to be already, you know, so octave energy is more like scrambling to replace energies because you feel like you missed something and you want to overcompensate, and then you can kind of fuck things up in the process trying to overcompensate. That you're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Or you in a space, because sometimes we go through experiences or phases in life where that just be the case. You know what I'm saying? We state where we gotta correct things. Like when you make a mistake and you gotta correct and fix things, it kind of puts you in a different kind of time frame. It puts you, it should speed things, it might speed things up, right? Not all the time, but it creates anxiety and you like, oh, let's fix this, right? People who want to get things fixed, they'll speed up their pace, which again, gotta have discernment, because that's not always the best thing to do, but it's a natural thing to do because your adrenaline is up, you're anxious, you're like trying, you know, some people want to do that or respond to that energy and retract and want to like do less and stuff like that. Sometimes work out for them, but sometimes it, you know, it's like sometimes, like I said before, sometimes being too laid back about something that you know you made as a mistake, you need to rectify as soon as possible. So you have to kind of know how to discern between what pace to get at things at times. But my point of all this is that, hey, what's up, Rasta? Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to these different things, it's like I said before, the midpoint or the I was talking octaves, right? And you said that's like magma energy. You said you unearthing the fire that's still right, real shit. Unearth it, yeah, magma, yeah, kind of, yeah, I get what you're saying. That's kind of like the transition we going through now with you know, the sun being in the cusp. That's exactly it. But like I was saying before, the when it comes to the octave and things like that with the full moon we had in Gemini was giving you all that information so you could now make new assessments and new judgments and move different things and accordingly, right, to reorganize things. And that's what we really should have been focused on in these few degrees of Sagittarius, is kind of understanding the meaning behind the information that we received during the full moon. So we was going through those trends, right? We had Cancer, so we had to feel, we had to deal with our emotions on everything that we learned as information. And then after we dealt with those feelings, right, now we knew what to start to express, right? So that might have been a moment where you were purging a lot. That should have been purging energy, where you were purging some of the things, the attachments you might have been still lost in when it came to that information. You might not have felt good about what you heard, but you needed to see a different side of it. And hopefully you changed how you felt about that information so that you could see something new in Leo, right? So now we move in, again, we passed through Virgo. Now Virgo was interesting because it was like we started Captain on that grand Earth trine, because we had the sun in Capricorn, we had the moon in Virgo, and then we had Uranus in Taurus. So this should have been things starting to make sense, a glimpse of things making sense. You know, again, everybody in their own different aspect of life and on their own in a different stage of their journey, but on in some way, that was the gift that should have been granted during that moon in Virgo. It's like, oh wait, hold on, shit actually, or, and again, just because it makes sense don't mean it feel good. So it might have been you kind of seeing some of the deeper details behind why things had to play out they did based upon your individuality, Uranus and Taurus, because again, Uranus been in Taurus circulating around our our values, and our values have been a very important thing that is actually laying out the foundation. That's why it's certain shifts going on as far as who you see yourself associating with versus who phases in and out of your life, because everybody is kind of subconscious moving and operating on a realistic level based upon their values, believe it or not, which is why anything that's forced right now is probably a conflict of interest somewhere in the deeper aspects of that that union or that connection or whatever you want to call it, because everybody is being pushed subconsciously to more so ground themselves through the things they value. So what you'll see is this: you'll be in some kind of engagement with a person, place, or thing, right? And let's say under like on the low key beneath the surface, but it's in Taurus, so it's low key surface level. Like everyone's value and what they value is displayed surface level on some, meaning no matter what kind of engagement you got with that person, place, or thing, it's always going to be obvious where each individual's values lie if you know where to pay attention to. Because see, that's the problem too. So people don't really, sometimes people be lost in their world, thinking about themselves, self-centered, you know what I'm saying? Something, everybody in their own world to some degree. So you might not notice where another person clearly line in the sand to say, this is where my values are. You might choose to ignore that based upon all the energies going on, because Taurus is a very subtle energy, but that's where our Uranus is at. So again, if you're not checking the aspect, the surface of where the values are, you're bound to go through a rebellion in that engagement with a person, place, or thing. But the thing about it is, it's an Earth, so it's going to be a dry decision, aka like, just it doesn't make sense to keep you. You know what I'm saying? So you'll start to see, but see, anything that's forced, you're just delaying the process of receiving that rebellion, basically. And the rebellion, when I say rebellion, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, if anything, in some kind of way, helping, because it's allowing, and see, it's allowing what needs to, it's kind of allowing yourself the opportunity to get things straightened, like on a practical foundation sense. Like this is like a very foundational construction time where you might think you in something, but this is actually a very kind of interesting period that you can kind of like rewrite certain things to make it fit a little bit better before we go into the next, you know, into the next year, right? And we know the real year, but this is why Capricorn, this is the importance of Capricorn season. It's like, you got to understand, Saturn subtracts. So it's very much right now, you need to start subtracting certain things that just ain't part. I like to look at it like I was saying before, a frame. So there's a frame you're trying to construct for where you want to, how you want to step into the next new energy, the next new shift and things like that, and continue to kind of move and go forward. You have to shape that frame, according to how you want to see things and how you want to move. And that's your responsibility. But in shaping that frame, a lot of people might see it, it's kind of like people who do music, y'all know, like, and you're doing your EQ, they'll tell you, a lot of the first instinct is to add things to the mix. You're trying to add this or lift this up, lift that up, but you distort everything in the process. And the more, they'll teach you that the better thing to do is to subtract. And that goes with anything in life. When you're doing things in life too, a lot of times the first instinct to make something better is to add something new. So let me add something to this, or this is missing something, let me add this. But a lot of times, sometimes the better option is to subtract things away, so that you can get more to the root of things. Very same thing I was saying in the beginning of this live, talking about religion. It's like religion is after the fact thing. But if you start taking away some of those kind of fixated views, and you kind of take certain things apart to get to the source, it's much more potent, and you could do a lot more. There's more versatility in that space when you get to those things. But in order to get to that source, you have to take away the indoctrination. You have to take away this aspect that only looked at the world this way. You got to take away this name and this title and this document and this, that, and the third, till we get to the source of things. So again, not to get too mixed up, when you look at life at the moment, again, the winter time and all of the Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces energy is more so about, what do I need to subtract from my life for it to makes more sense? And that balance reality. That's how you get back to what actually matters to you. And shout out to Tonovic, because he said opportunity cost, which, if you don't know, again, if you choose something by default, it costs you another decision. So you got to look at it like that. Time and your resources are finite. There's a limited amount of attention you can give to certain things in your life. There's a limited amount of energy in your body that you have that you can expend on certain things. There's a limited amount of time you have in life. So you have to understand what's a more intelligent way, efficient way to utilize my energy and my time. And again, a lot of things that we don't realize that we're kind of carrying along with us for comfort, things that drain us and kind of detract from or distract us from our goals and things that we want to really do, aka that frame. If there's too many things and that frame is too wide, well, guess what? Yeah, somewhere in the mix will be what you want, but you'll also have a whole bunch of shit that you just don't want and don't think you'll fuck around and say, I didn't ask. You really did, because you wasn't specific about what it is that you was trying to carve out for your life. And so you allowed a bunch of miscellaneous things to get in the mix. So it's like, I mean, I kind of like it, but again, what kind of life is, you know what I'm saying? What kind of energy is kinda? It's like, I tell you, it's kind of cool. Like, that's such a passive way to kind of live. And again, to each their own, but you start to think that the whole point of this spiritual shit is to become better magicians. And so it's like, again, with all that miscellaneous shit, you might be cool with it. Again, think about how much hassle that also includes, and how much clutter how much, again, distraction. So that limited time you have gets even more limited because it's restricted. And again, opportunity cost. Saturn and Capricorn season deal with restrictions. And I've been saying, you want to create that tower moment. You don't let the universe create the tower moment because you was neglecting something. We always create our own turmoil. So you got to think of it at all times as like, damn, am I in a space that's going to create the type of things that I want to endure? Or am I creating things that are going to be painful and unnecessary to endure, but because I produced it and I'm responsible for it, I got to go through that? In my sixth house, you're gonna have to wear those two faces. Exactly. Status and all that. You know what I'm saying? You have to stand on that. You're gonna have to show up, show the fuck up as you. Daily routine with everything that you see, everything that you, one thing about season, if you got Capricorn energy, you probably feel me too. It's like, wow, Capricorn, that's why, again, respect, face card, status, they understand that more than anybody. You can't just be, why a lot of the times, especially Capricorn suns, will play or express themselves restricted, because everything everything is dependent on status. Everything is, you know, Capricorn risings. Everything is kind of dependent on status. So they are conscious aware of either how they're expressing themselves or how their personal life is constructed. And so they'll be a lot more mindful and cautious to express certain things because it's going to affect, they're going to have to answer to that status somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Capricorn in the 6th house, that's like, so for you right now, shout out to Solo Rebel. Man, woo, man, he sent me some beats, man. He sent me some beats, bro. That shit coming very soon. That's all I'm gonna say. You said likewise, Ross, the Leo rise in Capricorn season has 6th house Gemini. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, when it comes to why exactly that shit hard. But yeah, you said I got Capricorn in the 6th house. So Capricorn in the 6th house, the sun moving through that aspect is you, when it comes to your routine and things like that, you're creating balance there. So there might be clutter in your routine. There might be certain things you might have to refine or some from your routine that may not actually be helping you produce what you actually trying to build for yourself. You know, but that's a powerful energy too, because it's still dealing with the earth and it's taking it down to a day-to-day routine aspect. So it's so about you getting more serious as well. It's also about you getting more serious about what it is your routine consists of. And you know, you kind of the mindset and the understanding that what I do on this day-to-day level, so I need to be the authority. So at this time, you can't let nobody come around you trying to tell you what you need to be telling you what to do. You need to be the authority of your own schedule, and you need to be directing that schedule towards that matter to you that you looking to build. You know what I'm saying? Right. Explore the idealship esoterically. The best boss knows the roles of the new hire. Right. And the boss, in a lot of ways, the boss is the best bosses are the ones who played every position and know how to actually do every single thing, but they elevated themselves to where they got themselves to a point where they don't have to do everything, but they know how each function works of the business. They know how each thing interacts with each other. So think about how that level of mentality is knowing how to manage. That literally what managing is. Managing is knowing how this piece is going to interact with that piece. But see, that goes back to what I was saying, the importance too of the opposition energy Cancer. Also having the emotional intelligence, make better decisions with that aspect of management. So yeah, on a physical level, that's like literally, you know, when you're working a job, you need to know how this person's maybe personality or emotional temperament, not only how does it play that they in, but also how does it interact with their co-worker that they got to be in close proximity with. And then you know how to mix and match personalities to get the best out of each team member, right? And internally, this is also knowing how to match talents. So you know when you be in a certain space, you're not solid and efficient enough to get this X, Y, and Z done. So what are you going to do about it? And that could turn into different habits. You putting yourself in a different lead up to you being in different mental spaces that give the emotional flexibility or the emotional like currency or the emotional encouragement to get certain done. Even down to the 6th house is also health. You understanding them. Every time I eat this burger from Five Guys, nigga, I can't get no work done. I go to sleep. Let me actually incorporate different foods at different times so that I can feel differently in my body to be able to do what I need to get done. And then the burger at night, or let me eat the burger at a different time of the day that lets me digest and or when I'm actually ready to take that break. You know what I'm saying? And again, like I said, and Capricorn energy being about it's also separation, but subtraction. So sometimes Capricorn created the phrase less is more. You know what I'm saying? Because they understand efficiency. So it's like, what can I take away and what can I restrict? Let me put the restriction on it so that I show responsibility to the universe before it's got to show me and teach me what the cost or the consequence of my lack of discipline looks like. And that's how Saturn plays. Saturn transits and all. Saturn shows you either it doesn't applaud you, but due to you having the discipline to initiate a responsibility and you rise to the occasion beforehand, you already get to walk. That accomplishment in and of itself grants you access to resources and status and the ability to do things that others can't. If you don't do it, Saturn ain't gonna scold you. Saturn's just going to show you, reflect right back to you the consequences of what your lack of discipline looks like. You feel me? You say, yeah, I've been feeling the need to work on my root management lately. Yeah, real shit. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's down to the details. And it's like you can make it as complex or as simple as you would like. Meaning, like, you know, simplicity would be looking like, you know, again, small thing that you just like, you know what, when I wake up, let me make sure I knock out 10 push-ups. It could be simple as that. And that's going towards my health. And you can get, again, as complex as you want to get. Those 10 push-ups, you can start to play with how you feel when you do certain things in your routine that lead to, you know, your day now. So you're like, oh yeah, when I do 10 push-ups, I feel pretty good in the first couple hours of my day. So let me incorporate this, or let me set this time to do different things. So after I do them 10 push-ups, I'm gonna go ahead and try to knock out a few emails, and then that maybe I'll go for a walk or something, and that'll put me in the space to get creative, and I can go back in my studio, create some you know, I know you do you know, you be making video advertising and different things for your, you know, for your business and stuff, like, you know, all kinds of different things. So yeah, you can, again, I love this. That's your ritual. That's your rite of passage as a spirit in a human body. You able to create rituals that connect you to where you be at. He said cardinal action earth is like, if you step with the right foot, you didn't step with the left. Right, exactly. Opportunity cause subtraction, in addition, meeting at the intended value or role. Right. And again, goes back to value, because value, Uranus is going to be interacting with all this Capricorn energy. So again, everything we do, shout out to Soul Rebel. I appreciate you, bro. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? That's going right in the investment pot for season 2. You know, season 2 of the Caucasian. We got season 2. Shout out to everybody, man. We did it, bro. We did it. First season out of the way. I'm glad y'all liked that. I appreciate y'all supporting it. You know what I'm saying? That shit was dope. You know, we're going to keep it going. And, of course, the conferences that we got going on and all those good things. And the Each One Teach One program, revolutionizing the way we even go about education and things like that. So, you know, it's very, very dope things that all that investment is going towards, you know. And YouTube kind of slick, because they like, you can only the money if you make a certain amount, man. They crazy, man. But yeah, that's so crazy. Like, if I earn something, I should be able to get it right then and there. Like, what kind of game y'all playing? You know what I'm saying? But I get it. You know what I'm saying? I just got to build my own so I can do it my way. You know what I'm saying? And my shit, you gonna get paid instantly. You did something and people want to support it, you get paid instantly. And ain't no, you know what I'm saying? You get all your money and all that shit. But getting back on topic though, when it comes to this Capricorn energy, and you know, trying to with Uranus, everything we do, every step we take, again, part of that standing on business aspect is you need to be individuality. So and kind of like going back to what I was saying, because I did connect this point. I'm glad everything be connected. But you know, talking about the North Node phasing into Pisces, South Node in Libra currently is squaring this Capricorn energy, but it's also in conjuncting that Uranus. So a lot of what we was experiencing with that whole North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, that's why it was a map. It felt like people, places, and things kind of was low-key phasing in and out of your life based on you know, based upon what you was directing your focus into. And that's why it was so important, and why I kept saying you need to not only you need to stick to what you value. You need to stick to the expression of your authenticity, so that anything that doesn't match that vibration can fall off. And see, because when you try to mismatch and force things, what happens, you build resentment in different areas of life, whether it be physical, actual resentment with you or the person you actually carry. It's like, matter of fact, resentment is really optional, but it's played out different ways physically. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you build resentment that will be later expressed in some kind of way, where if it's silently, you know, the resentment is held, it becomes contempt. So that means that, you know, your energy comes up, it's associated with this kind of you know, deep, like, hatred, or you know what I'm saying, maybe not hatred, but it's like it's met with this. If you look up the word contempt, it's almost like disgust, or like this like tense frustration with something because it's been silent. Or if it's more it's resentment, but it's expressed, this is going to look like kind of nitpicking and distraction type energy that kind of plays out as like if you were to think of a you in a forest or something like that, and it's a bunch of bugs, and you got to keep, like, you know what I'm saying, kind of, you know, so it didn't get as heavy, but it's still resentment. So it's still like little pebbles and stones getting at you and stuff like that, but internally. So you feel it from individuals you still around and trying to relate to that don't match your authenticity, but you're trying to form. That's what it plays out like. So you had to kind of lean on your authenticity and that Mars energy kicking in as well, expressing that, you know, setting that stage so that, hey, this is my stage. If you would like to, if you don't want to be a part of it, want to watch what's going on in the stage, please exit stage left, or exit the auditorium, you know, get out, you know what I'm saying, stuff. And that's kind of how we had to be with this energy. And see, Sagittarius was kind of a good energy to kind of phase this out, because Sagittarius kind of added a spirituality to it, where you were still blunt and got to the point, but you was able to kind of recover based upon you looking at the meaning and reasoning for why things had to play out the way they did. So it's like, it's kind of like again, a different kind of understanding, where it's like, okay, I can see your point of view, aka that mutable fire. I can see your perspective. I can honor that, and we can, again, continue to be free. And that was the higher octave of those energies. But the lower octave, that Sagittarius, you might have been avoidant. You might have been clinging on to something, but didn't want to have the hard conversations. So you avoided a lot of things. You played escapism. So what that play as, you created a cage for yourself, which is you still being stuck in outdated energy, and it being harder to phase out in an applicable way. If you don't know what that word means, I might have said the wrong word. That's it. That's the relationship or whatever engagement you had with a person, place, or thing, being able to be phased out in a more what's the word, like, more light way, light-hearted, where it's like, it ain't got to be no heavy that resentment, nothing heavy to develop. We didn't go, you know, we didn't, you know, hurt each other too much. We didn't do too much on the other aspect. Like, it's a clean break. It's a clean phase. It's a light, airy, balanced, harmonious phasing out of something, you know, whether it be a person, place, or thing, you know, other than the energy that would have been the case. Again, if you was on some escapism stuff, then this energy would have carried over. And guess what? We got more square energy. And see, Capricorn is a more harsh energy, even though, but see, the South Node is going into Virgo. But see, Virgo, just because you got to understand what energies actually are. Because any relationship with a person, place, or thing that we're carrying from that previous South Node into this South Node, that's going to be the source of criticism and the source of anxiety and of what's actually making it even more difficult to access that North Node Pisces energy. Which actually, if you did it correctly, right, if you was on a high octave and you separated from things based upon you being your authentic self, you separated from any that needed to be kind of phased out, and you're able to move and shift in a clean way, what's going to happen is all that Pisces energy, first of all, you're going to be in the space for Pisces to thrive, because you're going to be in the right, you're going to be in the environment. Emotionally, you're going to be connected to the right things. See, Pisces is very, you know, it's the immutable water. So the things that it's connected to are really influence the internal state of that Pisces, regardless of what you want to do. Like, every energy got they strong suits and their weaknesses, and that's not necessarily a strong suit or a weakness, but it's just something to acknowledge. You got certain energies. You got a lot of Pisces energy. You got to realize that your environment, very important. You know what I'm saying? Your environment is really like, because what your environment, it's almost like I think with a Pisces rising, your third Taurus. So you got to understand your environment is the fountain of a lot of your characteristics, or the foundation of your ability to kind of do your thing. And you know, whether it's kind of like you got to understand, like, that Taurus energy in the third house is like a very stable type energy. It's the foundation of your character. So when it moves into the next one, if you didn't have a good founding, or you came from a certain environment, right, you can get fixated into that mentality, and that becomes the thing that kind of drives your heart. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. But getting back to what I was saying, like, when it comes to the North Node in Pisces, for everybody, in order for you to move along your spiritual path, a lot of it is come down to the things you're connected to. And to some degree, it's your own emotional intelligence, but it's also the things you've accumulated in your space to be connected to. You got the wrong people, places, and things in your space, it's going to influence your ability to, you know, connect to what it is you even see as a spiritual path or a possibility for yourself. And it's like I said before, on a high octave, the South in Virgo is going to be the supporting energy and the reminder of how to actually work and achieve to reach that goal. Whereas the low octave of, it's kind of like Virgo and Pisces. Virgo can make all of those dreams come true. But a octave Virgo energy in relation to a Pisces is, guess what? It's going to be the reason that everything is not possible. It's going to be the criticism, the source of doubt. Where now every time you trying to do something for your spiritual path, you're going to be on some, well, that ain't realistic, or what this goes wrong, what if that goes wrong? And sometimes sometimes you got to go with the flow of thing in order to learn, because that's what a Pisces to kind of teach a Virgo is like. Sometimes you learn along the way. There's certain things you can't necessarily plan for that can only be learned through the experience. So yeah, we can prepare all we want, but it's not until our feet wet that we actually know how deep the ocean get. So we might have to go through a period of uncertainty, but we can back and support that with faith and confidence and be able to know what to do in those moments based upon what we did to prepare, the routine practice that we built on prior, and the general awareness and intelligence of what we know to be true. Because Virgo is the master of what we know to be true, the details, facts, information that we can solidify and make out of to create the stemming of common sense. But sometimes where Virgo loses its footing is in its angst. So sometimes trying to predict too much of what could possibly happen, you lose the magic of the experience itself to teach you and guide you, the intuitive aspect of things. This is why, again, everything is balanced. Sister sign, like I was saying, just again, Sun sign Pisces, there's a lot of very deep-rooted things I had to learn as far as my Earth sign that allowed growth for me to be able to do my Pisces even more effectively. To where now, when I express a creativity or an imagination, it don't look like La La Land. It look like, oh damn, that looked like more so actual real amusement park fantasy that we can go to physically and actually experience positive things from. It's something that is tangible. Like for instance, the show. I've been talking about the show, but we fucked around and did it. Y'all see it. Conference, we talked about the conference. I fucked around and did it. Classes, each one teach one. That shit, we fucked around and did it. And each time it's a progression of energy. So it's the same type of vibe. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to NC, Pisces is playing a very important role. The North Node is going to be there, but then we still got Saturn Pisces. And so what that even looks like, again, that's not the most strong placement for Saturn. But again, going back to connection and interest as well. One thing about being intentional, you can't be intentional if you're not interested in the thing you're trying to, a lot of times people when they doing things in life and it's like they're not, and like they got the right intentions, look at where your interests lie, because interest is what's going to drive that intention. You to be interested is to apply a certain level of care and a certain level of fixation on something, and that focus is what kind of is where the root of intention comes from. You know what I'm saying? So that's very important too, especially the fact that this next year we go into is a very Piscean, but also a very Aryan Mars type year. A lot of things are going to be about strides. And again, it's a year 9. So year 9, like 9 energy, it really is that push through energy. Again, we go through, come to numerology, we go through a masculine, then we go through a feminine. We just got out of a feminine. So now it's time to turn up the notch. You know what I'm saying? We got to turn it up a little bit. You say reason, it sounds like content. Biting your tongue energy, right? Exactly. Can't bite your tongue right now. You say I definitely, it's hard to invest in something if you're not interested. Exactly. It's probably impossible if you're not interested in it. Not gonna keep up with it. You're not gonna actually participate with it. So a lot of times in our life, again, when we lack direction, so not even lack direction, everybody got something that they want to do, like whether it be like wanting to do music, Rasta, you wanting to do your business, your business. When you are, it's like, it ain't easy always. Something, just because I like to do something, it's easy to stay consistent and incorporate it into my daily routine program, what I got going on. But in space where it's like, no, you have to be interested into something in order to have the intention to carry it out and to invest in it. And even interest, when we think of money in like banks and things like that, like interest that accumulates, like attention, value, you know, what we pay attention to, it's interest, or it should accumulate interest. And that interest is something we're supposed to reinvest into ourselves to have the intention to keep on going and get a better, a bigger, not, you know how what I'm trying to say, a big investment into something is a bigger return on that investment. A good investment leads to a good payout, you know what I'm saying? And that payout, you create a system like the current different things, you know what I'm saying? The energetic currency, that like the nature and fabric of laws and things like that. Again, look at the things you interested in. Sometimes people put too much of their interest into the wrong shit, so they're only intentional about getting pleasures fixed or getting their pleasures met or getting their, you know what I'm saying, getting certain other things. And even when it comes to, again, how we get engaged with other people, places, and things, when you're engaging with a person, place, or thing, if you don't show interest, you got to understand where that's coming from. You know, you must not, a lot of times that's how you get into a lot of situationships and you know, spaces where it, you know, things just fade. It's like y'all lost interest, you lost it or they lost it, and that interest is why every decision you made after that wasn't intentional, or it was intentional about something else in a different direction. So one individual, person, place, or thing to feel not invested into, and then after a while it's like, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? Because everything is like that. It kind of goes back to thing, and also magnetism, you know what I'm saying? Things are like, you're always pulling and pushing things, expanding and contraction, you know what I'm saying? We always pulling and pulling, I mean pushing. That's why we tell you, like, when it comes to manifesting, a lot of times you'll push your goals away trying to manifest them. If you're chasing them, like if you're chasing a goal, you're pushing it away. But you actually start to embody that energy of whatever goal it is that you have, you bring it to you. That's why they say, like, you start making money when you stop money, when you start thinking about it different. It really do be a mindset thing. And as you draw things closer to you, you have to know when to also give back, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't just be on one spectrum. You might be like, oh, well, I always want, it's like, nah, there's a time to push things too, but a different kind of, you know what I'm saying, that it's all about, you know, that's a different conversation, you know what I'm saying? Well, actually, I mean, it's the same conversation and shit like that. But again, getting back on point, he said people do that just to see if what they think in mind is believing is real, like Flight says. Right, exactly. And so you got to be wary of that that energy. Again, spiritual adults and spiritual children, sometimes you be playing with somebody who's trying to test out theories on you. Like that ain't again, that ain't always your role. You know, sometimes people will be around you and kind of like play test certain ideas or soft launch certain confident. And again, if you got a connection with these people, sometimes it's cool to play that role though. It's cool to be like, you know, supporting in that way. But do that energy with people who not only do you know are responsible spirits, but also that you're connected to and that you actually want to lend a helping hand or care to, and that you don't mind connected or in some kind of partnership with. Because sometimes we do that out of sympathy. Sometimes we feel, I mean, you know what I'm saying, especially when you yourself, you might feel like, let me help this person out because I can kind of see that. But sometimes, again, Capricorn season and going into 2025, it's a different kind of energy we're going into. It's the year of the snake. It's a lot more of a, you know, you have to have a healthy of who you're lending energy to and who you're allowing yourself to get, again, connected to. Because at this point, North Node and Pisces, any wrong connection, things have a way of naturally phasing out, and you know, saying, but what you're connected to, you know, Pisces is a very, again, like I said before, it's like Pisces is an energy in which, again, that mutable water is powerful in the sense of, on a high octave, it knows how to kind of engage with things in order to kind of receive the information, the wisdom from it, and then convert it into something that can nourish and connect further. But lower octave, it starts to become things and loses its way in its own direction. So a lot of people on a spiritual path, if you haven't been established a strong sense of not only your own identity, but where you want to go and take things in life, this is where all of the us being in the information age, technology and shit like that, you're gonna start to see a lot of people abandon themselves for the sake something other than themselves to believe in. So their own lack of guidance and knowing what they want to do in life and identity is going to start to turn into them just playing a copycat version of what they have more faith in. So that's going to look like a lot of individuals, again, not knowing what to fight for. That's kind of even identified through Neptune going into Aries. A lot of people going to be fighting false battles. That's why 2025 and coming up, you might see a lot of war and shit like that. And even, you know, I ain't trying to, you know, fuck her or nothing like that, but just be prepared. Like, you don't really know, based upon where they're trying to take things. And see, we can already see the seeds that for the next 2025 and the next kind of infrastructure shift, because we're seeing drones, you know what I'm saying, alien sightings and things like that. Oh, why are these drones here? And all they're trying to do is create and conjure up you. And I think, shout out to Tunnel Vision, because you literally just made a tweet about that shit, where the current fear-mongering tactics is really people in a space to be more militant and to justify certain things for control. And so they're trying to create kind of mini crisis that turn into bigger things. And even certain stories and ways we see in the world kind of shape around, like the whole Luigi shit and you know, like you know what I'm saying, they're testing all of this shit. How we be talking about psyops, so stuff be just soft launching, like giving you the seeds to be like, hey, yeah, this is what we gonna do to kind of get people panicked. Because it's all about, again, the more can induce in people, the more irrational they'll become in their decisions. Every time what they do is they incite that fear to control and sway public opinion, and based upon what public opinion chooses, they base their control in. Shout out to Ross, he said death a battle for control right now. Again, it's been a mental, like, again, when we say spiritual warfare, it's really for your mind. How many mental illnesses? We already in there's way too many mental illnesses around in the world. But imagine, like, now we have a whole new oh my goodness, a whole new regiment of this coming from people who really invested in aliens being real, like, and really invested in hologram Jesus, and really invested into drones, and we got it. Like, it's just, again, we was already in too deep. Reality and all this other stuff, robots. It's like, it's a lot of things. If you see, you can see it. A lot of things are starting to be the starting points of the next era of not only indoctrination, control, but also mental illness and things like that, and things that create anxiety and trauma in individuals that, again, yeah, exactly, they be scared little kids, right? And it's like a little kid trying to bully a younger kid about a ghost or something like that. That's exactly how the government be playing out. It's like they're the little kid who's a little bit bigger than the weak spirits, the sheep mind, and they're trying to tell them about a ghost story. And some of the kids is like, man, that's not true. And they like, yes, it is, and shit like that. And some of the kids is like scared out their mind. Genie bottles. He said, that's why I made those videos. Yeah, man, genie bottles. They got your ass. You know what I'm saying? Instagram got your bitch. And that's why, even when it comes to the people you love, that's why also it's so important to this phase with the South Node in Libra. The people you love, like I said before, it all matters. Because even loved ones, you got to know where loved ones at, and hopefully in a position where, like, for instance, if you a man and you with your family and stuff like that, it's so important, just in general, masculine energies to start to, we really got to lead when it comes to the spiritual system. And we want to, like, kind of making sure that who's in our family knows where we stand on certain things. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's a weird space. It's not a weird space, it shouldn't be. But for instance, you know, like sometimes previous years, it always mattered, but it might not have been so. But as we moving into this new phase of life and shit like that, or I said phase of life, but it's like this new shift. It's like building community type stuff. Like, the men, we gotta, like, really step into those positions and make it very clear where we stand on certain shit. And the real men who stand for something, like talking about like something that's actually going to shift the world in a proper place, we really have to we got to be coming together and establishing new systems and things like that. Like that's what we got to do. And the women, the females, a lot of at this point need to kind of decide what it is that they would like to support. Not only that, but um the feminine aspect of things is more so yeah, it's kind of, it's weird because it's knowing what's worth supporting. And because the moon moves, the sun knows where its responsibilities are, but the moon reinforces kind of the some of the clarity, and it kind of reinforces what actually matters. So it's like for the feminine spirits, it's more like getting more in touch with your own sense of value and supporting the things that echo that, rather than supporting things not really knowing what you supporting, and understanding how you support things. Like yeah, hopefully y'all catching what I'm saying. But the masculine energies, men got to come together and really set the tone, and then the women need to decide what's being presented, what they actually want to support, and actually support it, you know, and it actually be a key figure. And I'm not saying by any means that women can't you know, women don't need to have their own stance. Again, their stance is expressed through what they choose to support, though. You know, you gotta acknowledge where masculine and feminine energy differ, because a lot of the issue in the separation is coming from not like first of all, the men ain't up until now, a lot of men who don't really, the men ain't really standing on nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'll just be straight up. The men ain't standing on nothing. You don't see enough men kind of standing on things. And so what happens is that creates a lostness. You know, so it puts feminine energy in an awkward position, because now they have to kind of fend for themselves and define what they want, or define what makes sense to them. But when they're define what makes sense to them, it creates conflict with the masculine, because the masculine energy now walking around like they don't know what to do. It's misplaced. It's not, but the feminine energy can only do all of that expressing or forward, you know, making, you know, setting things in stone. You only do that to so long, you know. That's draining for a feminine energy. A lot of times it becomes draining. And also what they set they stance on, it changes. You know, it changes too frequently for it to be something that accumulates after a while. So and again, they become too exhausted to support anything other than what they're clinging on for survival. You know, and that's what the root of the world is in right now. It's like a bunch of survival mode. Everybody scrambling for something, and it's like that scrambling energy again, that moving fast and rushing certain things. That's always going to lead to more discourse, more discord and more chaos and things like that. And again, we're trying to is in this chaos state, but we have to figure out ways that we can start to make sense out of it and structure it. Because if we don't do it, again, that's what the government, their whole business plan is about, creating order out of the chaos. So in order to subvert that, right, or to lessen the blow, or to redirect that energy, we have to create the new system, right, through community coming together, creating these new, and then providing a different way of life and how to go about things, so that now we are protected, because we got our own internal systems, and we connected in certain ways that they can't understand or infiltrate, right? They still gonna try to, but we connected, we strong, we built something that's a new system to be standing on, that stood on. And what happens is now any engagement has to be done either through pure war and bloodshed, or the most likely way it'll be done is through contracts, business deals, and good business moves. You know, negotiation, that's the word. Where now we able to negotiate, because we got a new system. We don't have to rely on theirs. And see, they play dirty. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you know, I can't for every little nook and cranny of like how things will play out. But I will say this: when it comes to a lot of like people who are in power business, even when a business has an insubordinate employee that's kind of doing their own thing, right? There's two different types of insubordinate employees. There's the insubordinate employee who is actually causing, disrupting production, and doesn't actually have any real value to add to the business. They're kicked out immediately. They're eliminated, executed. A lot of individuals you see who be on that hardcore revolutionary shit get popped real quick. because it's like you a non-factor. You screaming and shit like that. If we pop you, yeah, a couple people gonna be upset, but it'll be all right. They still gonna come to work tomorrow, come to work and keep it moving, because you a non-factor. But if you got an insubordinate employee that they're insubordinate because the new system, so they kind of changed up your system, but they provided to the business is a whole new avenue in which they can explore. Like if they did something that was out of protocol, but it actually opened the door for that business to still be able to run. And the problem also is they got enough people at new protocol that it kind of like, if they were to remove it, a lot of people would be upset. A lot of people would create, again, they're going to see where, oh, damn. And this is where I be saying the importance of influence, and see, why even being an influencer is somewhat useful nowadays, because again, even me going live, or all of us going live, and people joining the live, people engaging, building a brand off shit, and more people supporting and things like that, that influence, it matters. You know what I'm saying? Being known, being a celebrity, it has its value. You know what I'm saying? But it's not making it all about that, and the reasons why we, people trying to achieve that and shit like that. But getting back to what I'm saying, an insubordinate employee who creates a new whole business that actually could make it run more smoothly and efficiently. It's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you didn't do what we told you to do, but you created a new way that we could do things a little faster in a different kind of way. Those are the type of employees keep around. So it's not just kick them out and let's get rid of them. So take this into a different context, into the government and how they deal with things. Individuals who's able to actually organize and present a new way to actually go about something that could be efficient. That's a negotiation at that point. Okay, we can talk about how, again, they're going to want to control it and regulate it. But again, negotiation ain't all bad. Compromise. Hey, sometimes in compromise to create, yeah, both of us are going to get a little bit of what we don't want, but also get what we in exchange. Yeah, you might have to put up with something you don't kind of want, but you get what you want in exchange. So that's the compromise business aspect that could be accomplished through, again, like understanding a build and structure something. Good business, you know what I'm saying? And again, the government is a business. So at the end of the day, if you do good business as a spirit in your spiritual tribe, y'all come together, y'all community come together, and y'all got good business, hey, they're a business too. And everybody trying to eat on that end. We all trying to live in the world that we want to live in. I'm talking about big business, not just money. Yeah, you might be thinking money, but I'm talking about bigger things. Like, we all try to live in a world in which we can be comfortable and we can do what we want. That's everybody's goal. That's why they run the world the way they do, because they want to keep that position. But individuals down, like people on the reason why communities is important, we need to come together and cut out some of this bullshit. Because again, when you see the general consensus bullshit that be done, the average human doing kind of goofy shit in the world, that's the reason why they be looking at each other. See, this is why we can't give these niggas control, because they don't know how to act. And again, it's like at a certain level of existence, a certain level of awareness, you realize, yeah, humans do be on some bullshit. And if they were left to their own devices, half of them, majority of them, 98% of them would hang themselves. But there's individuals who's able to actually have a little bit more and teach and be, teach awareness, and we can develop new ways to engage to where, yeah, we don't, again, the more spiritually aware we become, we don't have to, again, hang ourselves. We can have better ways to engage and better ways to do things, even though the government is a prime example of a person creating a problem and then putting themselves in a karmic loop cycle where they are the society they created is the people think the way they do, and that they got a problem on their hands. So they created their own. Again, the government no different than you. They created their own problem. So now they're in a perpetual karmic cycle of trying to correct their problem. And what does life teach you through relationships? When it comes to healing and learning more about yourself, you never learn more about yourself than you do when you in a relationship with another individual it's a reflection. Because I always be saying, you can't see your back. So you do, again, we all come into this world through the help of someone else. Literally, you was raised by somebody. You couldn't feed yourself. You take care of yourself as a baby. So that should be an indication that on some level, relations are a very important aspect of this. Hence the reason why you could do all you want alone. It'll be as great, powerful, or as capable or reach the heights of its possibility unless you know how to work with others. Simple as that. And that's a cardinal rule for life. You can't do shit here alone. You could try all you want, but you will burn out and you will be forgotten. You will be left alone. That energy doesn't do well here. That's not what this is for. That's not what in this lifetime is for. I mean, for some people, though, they experience more isolated energy, right? And I'm not discrediting y'all because, again, some people have a life where they have a lot more of an isolation vibe, experience more of the lone wolf energy. But the thing is, chances are, even in that aspect, it's not about only trying to be alone. It's two ways that it plays out. It's because maybe in a past life or aspects in this current life pointed to a past life where you was doing too much relating, too much mixing, and you got to learn more about yourself. Or it's an aspect of you being alone, but having to work through trying to extend yourself and connect with others and things like that. That's usually what the case is. It's like it's you too. It's like either you in the world where, okay, in this lifetime, I got to learn how to be myself and what myself is without the too much fog and connection with others. Or it's the other side where it's like, I am the lone wolf, but I'm learning how to also allow myself with others so that I can expand and be more, you know what I'm saying? Again, expand. You know what I'm saying? It's usually those two. But yeah. So back to this energy, man. Like, you know, I was saying about us going through the so we had like 29 degrees. We probably 1 degrees moon in Libra. So this creates a square with the sun in Capricorn, right? And we in the first decan. So this is the very raw energy of Capricorn, Saturnian. Again, let's subtract. Let's subtract things. Let's kind of get to the root of things. What am I really working with? Where are my resources at? And you know, what do I continue? What do I need to initiate a restriction over in order to kind of get me back on track? You know what I'm saying? So how can I make my systems more efficient? How can I make my life more efficient? And also, what do I need to take more serious based upon the area of life, whatever house you have Capricorn in? That's what you got to more seriously, and subtracting a couple things so that you can create efficiency in that area. Won't be as many distractions. Now, the sun, or well, let's start with the moon. The moon being in slide Libra is creating a square with the sun. So that's learning. We're trying to learn what to relate to. Again, a lot of this energy we was keeping around, right? We might have just been passive about certain things, certain places and things that we kept around us. We might need to subtract some of these things or allow, learn a little bit more of where our boundaries are with the things that we relate. Maybe we have to restrict that a little bit. Again, rebalancing our status. What was the word I used? Rebalancing our I forget what it was, but rebalancing in general when it comes to our business and what we got going on. You know what I'm saying? What we actually build for ourselves. We need to rebalance that. So that might look like changing how we relate to maybe some of our responsibilities, or changing our relationship with work like that. Maybe we're looking at work and what we do the wrong way. Maybe we're putting too much credit on what other people think is valuable or what other people think is worth investing in. But we have a different idea of what to invest in. So we need to listen to that than, you know, what everyone else is saying. And see, that's kind of a good aspect of Mercury being in Sagittarius, because it being direct, we actually getting a little bit more insight on our meaning and reasoning behind some of the things they're painting in. You know what I'm saying? And Mercury is trying to catch up to the sun. So it's like it's kind of in the background. Mercury is in a very intuitive place. So it's like deep down inside, you really know what's worth investing in and what's not. You kind of know where your real faith lies. You kind of know. But, you know, again, be mindful of advice, because again, you might be getting advice from a hidden enemy. You might be getting advice from a person who, again, isn't living the life you live in. So their experiences and what's led them to make a more wise decision might just apply to them. It might be the best decision for you. So this is where you got to get Capricorn, like, you the boss. The boss doesn't listen to every little request from their employee. The general doesn't listen to every little request from the general Marines and shit like that. Because the general's playing a different kind of game. So this is where the Capricorn mentality got to come into play. You got to get a little bit more strategic about where you want to take things in life, which is why, again, and who has the knowledge of what happened back since Aries season. So you got a lot to work with. Moon in Libra is just kind of learning how to relate to that, learning a relationship with that in that delicate dance, right? Then when you go to it's the aspect what is it? The moon trine Jupiter. So this is expanding relationships. You know what I'm saying? You said important to be able to take criticism, but can't let it move you. Exactly. Exactly. You don't saw something, you I don't gotta move. Like, again, I heard you. And do the self, you can analyze where the correct aspects is, but again, don't just believe everything. Don't just go with it just because. And sometimes even if someone is criticism, because see, sometimes this is the thing, criticism, and why I be bragging on people with or I be ragging on people with who always want to put their 2 cents in, because I'm like, what the fuck I'm gonna buy with 2 cents? Mean somebody can criticize something about you, but what that mean? You know what I'm saying? That's a pro opinion sometimes. Like, if sometimes it be valid, but a lot of times it be a person's perspective on something that they might not understand. So sometimes you got to see where the criticism even coming from. If it's coming from a clown, like, yeah, you can learn something from everybody, but you ain't doing what I'm doing. It'd be a person who's sitting right beside you, who never did no business in their life, telling you about your business dealings. And it's like, you, because a wise spirit gonna assess and discern. But a lot of times people do not know what they be talking about, especially now. Right now, like, again, I'll be saying it's the age of bad advice. So it's like you gotta be, everybody saying, and it's like a lot of what they saying is coming from probably their own trauma. People teach you what it is that they lack by what they are so intensely focused on. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. He said, for real, and they can make it sound so good. Shout out to Jackie New. Exactly. It can make it sound so convincing, because people really be having conviction and shit. But see, you got to think too, like, sometimes people be so in life, but they don't even be invested in their own life like that. I'm like, save that 2 cents for you. You know what I'm saying? Save that shit. You need that. You know what I'm saying? You keep that 2 cents, because you needed it. I could see. I could tell you need that shit. I don't need it. When you, and this is the important of having that sense of self-value, because when you yourself, and that's Capricorn too in a nutshell, is also knowing your own value and your own intrinsic it's not value, but your own shit. It's like, yeah, you know how they say it. You know, I paid the cost to be the boss. Like, it's been through some shit to be able to say, I don't give a fuck about what you talk about. Saying you've been through enough. So Capricorn, if you planted the right seeds up until now, you should be Capricorn season, sitting at the seat of what you've been invested in, saying, well, I'm knowledgeable on certain things. Again, we just left Sagittarius. You gotta feel about something. Like, I know myself more than I know what this person know what they talking about. Like, nah, you know what I'm saying? And so, and again, we still dealing with Mercury in Sag. So in a lot of ways, we know a lot more than we might want to admit we know. You know what I'm saying? But again, sometimes people just want to help, but not all help is really, like, again, like, sometimes, like, you just got to be able to right, you needed it. It's like sometimes you got to be like, again, restriction, like boundaries. I'm saying boundaries. Put that boundary of, like, you know what I'm saying? And again, you ain't got to even make somebody aware that you done block they shit out. But sometimes you just let it go in one ear, let it go, because it's just like, yeah, that's a good idea. Again, an employee and a manager, you know, it's an employee telling the manager about some shit. The manager been doing this, or the CEO been doing this, that employee was born. Here come the employee saying some very basic, hey, y'all should do this. Like the manager ain't already thought of that. Like, so, like y'all know what I'm talking about. It'd be like you like somebody would come to you with something as advice, and it's like, motherfucker, you don't think I already knew that? You already applied that thinking? You don't think I thought that thought already? Because some, like anybody who's built something in their life understands exactly what I'm talking about. You build something, you've been through certain avenues that led to you being successful in what you built. So when somebody come in like a suggestion, and again, like I know I'm crazy, but it's like, because how I run my business, be like, I like to listen to everybody's shit. Now, but it's sometimes like when a person is, it's a difference between somebody giving a genuine suggestion and someone, you know, really taking the time to like flesh out an idea versus individuals who kind of always present and hooked ideas. Like it's a difference between, oh, like this person put thought into like them presenting an idea and an opinion. Because again, sometimes, again, and I'm first to say, like I don't be seeing everything, so I always like to do business where I'm open and listening to, you know, everybody's suggestions, and on the playing field. Because I look at it like, look, in business I'm getting with people that I don't trust they vision. I'm not associating with people that I don't trust they talent, or trust they own awareness and they own skill and ability. You know, that's how I do business. Because I always say I do business based upon, instead of a pyramid, it's a constellation. So it's a group, a collection of stars. Stars all got their different shape, they all got their different intensities, but they all respected in the same association in space. So when we're doing business, it's more like I'm only associating with stars who actually got some associating with skills and abilities that it's like, okay, cool. So when they're throwing suggestions, their suggestions be like large investments. It'd be like a real invested, it's not no 2 cents shit. 2 cents is the people who got half-baked ideas, who didn't really take the time to engage with the subject matter. They just try to point of view. And sometimes people be trying to be right, and you know what I'm saying, all kinds of weird stuff and power dynamics. But it's really like, it's different. You know what I'm saying? A 2 cents investment suggestion or advice versus somebody who actually with you in the trenches, who's going to offer something. And that don't mean that they always going to say something you agree with, and vice versa. But it's different. It's like, it's a difference between criticism that just come from a place of like, again, you just trying to, I don't know what you trying to do. It almost feels like I was saying before, like little bugs and stuff. You gotta like dust them. Like, why is a bug keep, like, damn, like what's come on. Versus somebody who actually taking the time to it goes back to interest. It really go back to interest. Because someone's interested in something, the type of investment they make when even offering advice or offering their opinion is a lot different. It hit than a person who's really not interested, but they're more so maybe tolerant or annoyed and just trying to suggest something, or looking for control. Because sometimes that be the case too. People aren't interested, but they want control over something, or they see value in it and trying to trick you out of position, trying to give you ideas that come from where they want you things to go, and they're control it in a very behind the scenes like way. Because the people like that come around too. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of discernment needed in order to properly evaluate what's really going on in your life and shit like that. But again, that's why moving forward, again, you're the snake. This are the type of energies that I'm putting y'all on to, that y'all gotta be able to be aware of. Like, hold on, this motherfucker always putting 2 cents in. Why don't they be actually interested and invested into something? Because when someone's invested and interested into something, they're gonna, instead of giving you 2 cents, they're more meaningful, like actually help. Like, you know what I'm saying? Actually help. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I'm weary of people who give 2 cents. Because people who give 2 cents, they'll do everything in the world, but say, I'll do everything but help. Like, so here's 2 cents. Like, person who's interested and invested gonna try to get in the mix if they got something to offer in that way. Even if they can't get in the mix, they gonna support it in some kind of way where they're actually coming to you with, again, not criticisms. At that point, they become opportunities for construction, opportunities for things to work on and build on. Again, higher octave Virgo is going to give you that actual engagement and say, well, let's work on this. They're not just going to sit back and criticize something. They're going to say, well, this is how I would go get in the mix with you. And that's respectable, rather than somebody who respect you coming around and just say, hey, it's 2 cents. Let me throw this 2 cents at you. It's like you on the street. It's like somebody came by and see you needed some money for food or something, they threw two pennies in your face. Like, the hell. Right, 2 cents trying to make, exactly. Boy, you know what I'm saying? You know how much I'm invest, like, You know how much I'm worth? Your worth. It's like I'm a, you know what I'm saying? I'm worth a bill. Like I got my own mind. I'm priceless. You know, and as a spirit, that's how, again, kind energy. Bitch, I'm priceless. And you gonna throw 2 cents. No, get in the mix. Add some help. Add some value from your energy and shit like that. Real investment. That's how you really build something. That's how you build a nation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look how America built shit, they got people invested in the story. That's why they went hard with propaganda. They got people invested. They was interested in American. They was interested in being racist. They was like, I love that shit. I love that shit. You know what I'm saying? They did it for the wrong reasons, but it works. It works. You know what I'm saying? He said that they actions speak louder than words. Exactly. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? They speak louder than words. And even and the funny thing is too, there's 2 cents versions of actions as well. You know, people who give 2 cents actions, like, you know, whether it be the way they engage with you, the way that, you know what I'm saying? It's like cents actions, not really putting effort into the way they help you. You know what I'm saying? People who kind of are lazy about certain things that you need help with or something like that. Don't be. Somebody could see you juggling a whole bunch of shit, and the only thing they'll be able to physically help with their actions is the most kind of low-key non-aspect of the whole shit. And then still be looking and then expect you to either praise them for that or be satisfied and settle with the lack of reciprocity. You know what I'm saying? And that goes to, again, everybody. Like the year of the snake, y'all got to be aware of those types of individuals, because again, going into the Pisces energies, the North Node in Pisces, you might just want to go with the flow, and you might not be even understanding that, oh, I can't continue on my path because the things, people, places, the things I'm connected to, connection itself, that's creating a certain vibe or a certain energy that's making it damn near impossible to continue on. Because depending on what you're like and things like that, you need to be with people who match that level of intensity about what it is that they like. They don't gotta share the same exact goals, but they gotta care as much as you care about the things in their own life. And it don't matter what y'all into, there'll be some way in which y'all can reciprocate energy that it'll make sense for y'all to be friends anyway. And see, this is the square. I'm really explaining the square between the Sun in Capricorn and the South Node in Libra, because because that's the that's kind of the energy. It's like you need to be able to evaluate what is creating balance and what's not, and the things that's not creating balance, you need to stop relating so much to it, so that you can kind of clear the way for things that's going to scale rather than make it lopsided, aka it's given too much. And then also you got to be aware to where you might be taking too much, because you might be on the end of when I say taking too much, you might be on the end of you low-key the one who's not giving enough. You be low-key the one who's not and again, this might be a mental illness you're going through. You might not be, hopefully you're aware enough to kind of see, oh, hold on, I might be tripping. I might be the enemy too. I might be one who is not offering enough of myself to the individuals around me that I claim to be related to. So I need to question whether or not, are they just not the right individuals and I don't want to be in this partnership and I need to sever that tie, or do I need to change and do I need to actually incorporate more effort into creating more balance so that I'm not just draining them? And see, people be knowing that. And again, sometimes it be people in real life telling you that, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? You don't come around, you don't do this. And it's easy to shrug people off, especially when you in your spiritual bag. You be like, oh, I'm always right. But again, I advise everyone who think they always right to sit back and say, well, what if I was wrong? Just every now and then. Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I'm the first spiritual. I'm the only one who knows anything in the world about that. But sometimes you just have to throw out there for balance. Like, what happened if I was wrong? No, what if I was wrong? What would be the participating energies that creates the imbalance? Because like I shared a clip a while ago. It's like, you know, people who walk around in their life that they never the problem. It's like it take two to again, in a world of relation, it's always two. I like to say it's 3 sides of a story. It's what you think, it's what they think, And then it's what actually happened, which is the blend of everyone's story is like in favor of themselves. Of course, you the hero in your own story. Some people reverse it though. The people who play victim, or even the people who play victim, they're the hero in their story. They just got wronged, or they just got the short end of the stick. You know what I'm saying? But it's like no matter how many times you try to play victim, reverse the roles every now and then, and just consider. Again, that's part of being an observer in actual real spirituality. It's like sometimes you got to put yourself in a space completely opposite so you can get the real root. And like, is it true? Is that really what happened? Even if you don't really believe that, you don't believe you was wrong, but start where you could have been wrong, and just let that sit with you, because that'll create enough modesty for you to have a very clean, balanced aspect of the ego. And a lot of people avoid that because they don't want to be vulnerable in that space, because it's vulnerable sometimes to be wrong. And when things, especially when things go bad, the first thing we want to do is be right. That's a natural inclination in the human mind, because you know what I'm saying, all that, these are facts, we all play a role in it, right? It's difficult, yeah, exactly. That's why, like, again, you gotta balance out your own ego, but part of that is even knowing where your ego is invested in. Like, oh, my ego be pointing, my ego go that way, like all of those different things you gotta know, you know what I'm saying, and take the time to learn more about it. That's why the things that I'm teaching, and all of us who y'all watch along with me, this is what we're teaching, is like different ways, again, knowing what's going on subconsciously, being aware there, so we can be better in the conscious action of things. You know what I'm saying? We can acknowledge, oh, I am in my ego right now, and do I need to be? Is it the right time or place, or do I need to chill out? You know what I'm saying? And that if everyone is on that type of time, by default, we already made the world a better place, because people will be able to self in the moment. And also in that self-correction is what cultivates better relations overall. And better relations mean better support systems. Better support systems, that means there's better infrastructure. You know, and what I mean by that is like the fact of, like, if you think of the relationship between air signs and earth signs, right? The structure of something is just the structure. A business is just a business, but what makes a business really successful is the relationships within that business, the relationships, the systems in place. So that's like Aquarius, it's like the systems, the relationships of relationships. So that's Libra, and then the individuals playing roles in the mix. So that's like, again, the workers themselves, the relationships they develop with each aspect of that business, and then the system that it all runs on. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And then that's what's going on inside of the Earth sign Taurus foundation, the stairs and rooms and office systems, Virgo, and the overall brand, which is Capricorn. Maybe the roof and the walls and the materials for that, and everything that goes on is the business itself. So Earth is like that structure around all of that air sign energy, which is important. The relations, you know what I'm saying, in the relationship between Earth and air, you know what I'm saying. Like if you were to the house, literally the air filtration system and your AC cooling, like earth and air, you know what I'm saying. But I mean, I like to relate it to people, because I think that gives a better fabric of what I'm talking about. Because if the business was the building, the earth was the business and the building, the operations are air, and successful businesses have good operation systems. So I'm talking physically, third dimensional. If you take that into your life, it's like, again, right now we in Capricorn season. So how you moving, where you want to go in life, what you building for yourself is the earthly acting. So you got to make it make sense. So you got to do what you got to do, take care of your responsibilities on a physical level. But then it's the way you think, though. The way you think is going to affect you relate. And the way you relate is going to determine the quality of your associations and the community you're able to have access to. Better the community, the better support system. And that increases your ability to be successful in all areas of life. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever area of life you want to be successful in. You know what I'm saying? But again, and it's just earth and air. because the irony is that the water and fire play out simultaneously. It's like the water and fire is what actually drives the air, because based upon how you conduct your feelings and expressions, that's going to determine how you kind of think and how you move and operate to create those relationships. So that's why the fire and water is more like the mental health we talk about, the trauma shit that we try to unravel, the shadow work. You know, and one thing you got to understand about shadow work and just shadow in general, shadow is there in a lot of ways to kind of provide it's like your buddy. And it's either you make friends with them and you're buddies with them, or you making buddies with your shadow is you understanding the nature of your shadow so that it can be your benefit. You know, it can work in your benefit. You don't learn your shadow, you keep running from your shadow. Guess what? First of all, you're never going to escape your shadow. And two, you lose out on the ability to use the shadow for what it's for, which is learning more about yourself, different aspects and angles of yourself. You know what I'm saying? But getting back to the astrology, my phone about to die and shit. Let me see what we got. 7, okay. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to the way you go about so the moon in Libra. So right now with the moon in Libra, so it's got that trine with Jupiter. So again, the gift of kind of going through our being able to relate to our experiences more. Again, our experience point should be more tailored to what we're trying to establish for ourselves. You know, Jupiter in Gemini is in conjunct Capricorn Sun. So we might misunderstand what to make out of some of the information we're receiving. But again, try to subtract first. Try to, let's get rid of the things that don't actually apply or make sense to what I want to build for myself life. Or let's start to, again, that Gemini energy is out of distraction. That's why I said advice right now is like just listen to it, but don't let it move you. Shout out to Rasta. He said, don't let it move you. Yeah, that's good conversation. I'm gonna pick apart the information that's relevant, and everything else I'm gonna let it go with the wind. That'll be the more wise way to incorporate them aspects. So what else we got? We got the moon sextiling Mars. So opportunities for us to relate passions, but in a different kind of way. So we're switching up how we relate to our passions. Now our passions are in conjunct as well. So there's a lot of things we misunderstand about how to structure some of these things, but don't let that drive you to rush, and don't let that make you panic. We still got time, and this is one of them things where you're gonna have to sit with it a little bit. You might have different ways of expressing those different things. So right now we got two misunderstandings going on currently with the two misunderstandings going on. One of them with Jupiter and the other one with Mars. So the sun, how we trying to structure and stand on business, we're trying to apply wisdom, and we're trying to get our passions to be directed in the right area. Now our passions is going to opposition. Really, the passions is more so playing into what, again, we have to revisit what we care about, what we're interested in, so that we can invest in it. How to create balance when we know the proper thing to invest in. But it could also create havoc, opposition, hardship if we're caring about the wrong things. That's why it's highly important to kind of sit with that misunderstanding with passions. Sit with it. Understand what you're paying attention to and what you see your stage as, because that's important. So you can't neglect that. You have to invest in that as it shifts more into Cancer. Now with Jupiter though, Jupiter gonna be in Gemini for a minute. Again, what you think is wise, think again. What you think is wise, you might have to actually get more in touch with the actual meaning. You know what I'm saying? Don't just kind of breeze through the information. Don't try to accumulate a bunch of information. You have to, again, start to subtract information you was going and operating off of, so that you can get more to the root of what you think certain things mean, the root of what your interpretations are. And that's going to take you on a closer relationship with what actually matters. Oh shit, hold on. So that's that aspect of things. Now, when it comes to the hold on. Yeah. When it comes to the moon in Libra, it's also going to be in conjunct in Saturn. So misunderstanding how to relate to reality. Again, a lot of things are changing, but again, let it change. This is what is supposed to happen right now. So let the things that need to fall off, and you make sure you're in the present, and you make sure you're operating on things. Again, a lot of that Saturn and Pisces energy can make you want to cling to what felt comfortable, but is low-key still restricting you. So you might want to cling to something because emotionally you feel more comfortable with it in your presence or in your possession, but that might just be, that comfort might just be a delusion. You have to, again, that misunderstanding with relating to reality, you might have to deal with that reality of not having that same thing. You know, misunderstanding how to feel about the relationship you have with reality. It's like sometimes, again, you're gonna have to decide for yourself where you're gonna invest. And again, the suggestion for me is just saying investing into the things you care about. But that Saturn and Pisces gonna kind of make you feel a little weird about, feel like, oh, I don't know how to really relate to this. And again, you might just be with the illusion that clinging to the old way of doing something is more comfortable than just accepting the next step, accepting the next phase, which might look like a different kind of reality. You accept next phase is going to lean you on the energy of being able to kind of, it's going to be a proper way to phase in the Mars going into Cancer. It's going to trine with that Saturn. It's going to make a lot more sense as to why you had to kind of restrict your certain things. So, you know what I'm saying, what was once the dream, you might have to, you know, detach from it a little bit. But now Saturn is going to be sextiling the sun. You know what I'm saying? Professional astrology for real. Shout out to Gilco. Yes, sir. You know, you already know it. You already know it. You know what I'm saying? The most professionalists. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to the Capricorn sextiling, Capricorn sun sextiling Saturn and Pisces. Now, this is an opportunity, though. This is an opportunity for you to kind of create more structure and a proper system around what you do want to build as a dream. But in order to get that and do that properly, you have to let go of the previous way you thought of constructing your life and things like that. You might let go of what you thought the dream was going to be. This is why you got to kind of release your expectations and outcomes at the moment, but get more precise on what you want. But just, it's like it's going to sound confusing, but it's a delicate balance, right? And a journal can help this. It's like you have to get specific and precise, more precise about what you want. And then at the same time, release your attachment to the outcome or the assumption of what it would look like if it were to come. Confusing because it's like, if I'm specific, you know, but you have to learn that balance of being able to get specific but detach from it looking like how you think it looked. Because it's like any sexuality, it's like the internal aspect of how it looked, it doesn't exist. So to put something finite on it, you limit it. So you got to keep it all possibilities, but specific on what you want. But keep it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's all my artists know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't do nothing artistic, you might be like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to get specific, but at the same time, release your expectations and the assumption of what it could look like. You know what I'm saying? He said, how can you separate the outcome of the desire from the goal? So separating the outcome of the, see, it's kind of like this. What's a good example? Like, say you want to be a basketball player, right? And goal might be to go to the NBA. But if you go deeper into that goal of wanting to be in the NBA, right? You know what you want. You got to get specific about what being in the NBA looks like. So this is like you taking that goal, but then you like expanding it to see what it would specifically mean you being in the NBA. So being in the NBA might look like I'm playing basketball professionally, and I'm able to you know, be on TV. I'm able to associate with other players, and I'm able to go to these games and stuff like that, go to different cities and travel, right? So going to the NBA is the goal, but the details of what it really looks like is like, oh, I'm playing ball professionally, I'm doing this, engaging with that environment and space. So that becomes the goal. Now, to the outcome is to say, well, in reality, in my present moment, everything I do is going to be some form of working towards that goal. But as life plays out, when the outcome, it's like you got to be open to the, like when you're going through the experience of training to go to the NBA and going to the tryouts, if you keep an open idea of that goal, you'll start to set, like, based upon the actual experience, it changes a little bit about where you actually want to go. Like, you might still think you want to do the, as you go to tryouts, you might start to realize, like, damn, you know, I went to, like, you might go to, you might be in tryouts or something like that, and let's say you something leads you to kind of see a different aspect of being in the NBA, that, like, or a different aspect of that space that you actually really interested in, that plays out as like as another possibility in that same space. So it's like you going to tryouts and you training for the NBA, but let's say you don't make it. Let's say you go to tryouts and you don't make it. That's what I mean by, like, so you might look at that goal and say, damn, my goal, but like, it's kind of like that shoot for the stars, land on the moon. So it's like that goal might have been the NBA, but that led you to train and meet certain people to where when you reach that point where you didn't quite get in the NBA, you actually realize, like, damn, I actually like teaching kids how to do basketball. And then you might be connected with a certain person you met in that tryout that put you onto a program in which you started to do. And so it's like, damn, my goal was to be in the NBA. But see, a lot of times, let's say you just fixated on that goal and you fixated on the outcome of being in the NBA. If you hold on too tightly to that goal, it's like you'll learn that life sometimes show you, or the experience will show you the reality. This is like the relationship between Pisces and Virgo. It's like, that's the tricky part. Your goal is more like a vehicle. It's not about the, like they'll tell you, it's not about the destination, it's the journey. It's because, like, but your goal is supposed to be the catalyst or the vehicle that ignites or drives your journey. Because if you didn't have that goal to be in the NBA, you wouldn't have made the certain strides, connections, and built the abilities and skills to be in the right place, right time, to get the opportunity to do something that's better than that original goal you thought you wanted. Because even to the fact, let's say to the NBA, you might get to the NBA and realize, dude, I fucking hate this. I thought I was gonna love it, but I don't like this shit. And that's when people, again, you remaining open and detached from the outcome. See, if you was too attached to the outcome and you made the NBA, you would be disappointed and crushed by the reality of what the NBA actually is. Damn, this is actually not what I want. Sometimes if you reach the goal and it's what you want, then cool. But a lot of times the reality of things is life don't work the way we plan it. Things never really be exactly how we seen it in our head. Sometimes that's cool for people, but sometimes when people are too attached to the outcome, they become extremely discouraged from the beauty of life. They become discouraged from the opportunity in the space. Like, a lot of times with manifestation, you're bringing it to you so that you can see the options. And if you can't see the options, you're not going to know how to materialize. We always manifesting. Out of what you manifested, there's always something that's going to lead you towards what you actually trying to materialize. But a lot of times, if you're too fixated on one way of looking, you're not going to be open-minded enough to all possibilities. Therefore, you will miss your chance to actually get closer to that goal. And this is how people end up procrastinating. This is how people end up reaching success in the things that they want to do, because they didn't see where, again, even with the NBA example, you was going for the NBA and you didn't make it, but you went to the G League and you made a name for yourself in the G League, and you get an opportunity later on to do the same, to go back to the NBA. Like, it's so many different ways. It's like, that's why they say, like, God works in mysterious ways, and you know, all these different phrases that we allude to, or that we say that alludes to, you know, God, you know, man plans, God laughs. Like, humans got to get out of that I can expect this and I can do, like, sometimes you have to set a goal and get specific on it, from the catalyst to drive you towards where you actually supposed to be at. Your spiritual path is not an end all be all. It's a path. It's supposed to push you in a direction, and you as a spirit going through the experiences are managing the different experiences, building skills and abilities, making decisions. Because we all got to make decisions. You know, and those decisions are like, again, going back to what Tunnel Vision said earlier, opportunity cost. A decision is going to cost you a sacrifice in what you could have chose then. But you, again, life is about living a good life, is about being satisfied and content with those choices and those decisions, and saying, you know what, I'm glad I made those decisions. And see, have confidence and faith is knowing that even if I made what I might consider later on as a bad decision, no matter what decision I make, it's the decision I was supposed to, and I'm okay with the outcome. Again, I'm okay with what happens because I have the confidence and the faith to know that in any situation, I'll know what to do to get closer to what I want and further away from what I don't want. You feel me? So yeah, you said facts. You still accumulated a lot of experiences and connections from the journey. Exactly. And see, and again, like, that's what it's really about. So when you make a goal, you're supposed to get specific, but you let go of that so that you can be open to the experience, and you can be flexible in mobility. Because see, people who are too fixated, they might not see the value in these different little, again, like, you know, like being an entrepreneur, you know, it's like so many things, so many aspects. It's hard work, a lot of hours put doing something. But it's like, the reality of it is like, if you didn't go through all that, or if you went through it with the wrong attitude, it's a reason you had to learn all them skills. It's a reason the people you meet on the way, and these end up being people you see at the top. And the people who help you get to the top, you help them. And these be people that you are able to actually share stories with, and they become friends in a different way. That's why, that's why I be saying, even when it comes to people, places, and things in your life, you got to be with people who match the level of intensity going for whatever they go for in life, then the same as you. Because being around people who ain't got that same level of intensity are only going to slow you down if you get too close to them, or distract you because they got hella time on. And that could look like bringing up stuff that's irrelevant. That could look like, again, them just calling you up just to talk and yeah, hey, what you up to? Oh yeah, I'm about to do this, I'm about to do that. That's cool. Oh yeah, that's cool. You be like, what you doing? Oh, nothing, chilling. Wasting my time. And again, you want to be family members and stuff, and it might be respect there. You might be like, man, I don't, you know what I'm saying? But you, again, part of being aware of things like this is knowing how to be responsible with it. So dedicate time. Like, I'll call you when I got time to lounge, when I'm in my free time. But don't call, you know, I'm not finna call you, or don't call me when I'm in my mode. You know what I'm saying? You can still give time to people in your family and shit. Like, again, it's the little things, man, that accumulate and become a problem later on. Because if you don't understand these things, you're not catching them, a person will start to become entitled. Before you know it, again, even worse if they are a person who only is motivated because of energy you be in. Because that's when you get like vampiric energy. That's when you get leech energy. That's when you get shit that actually becomes a problem, because then a person becomes, and then start drinking you like a juice box. And it's like, hold on. Why can't you get nothing done without calling me first? Why can't you get nothing done without me lifting a finger? I used to have there was a homeboy I had in college. He's a Gemini. And he used to do this shit where Geminis are funny, because I know this is a Gemini quality. Geminis, friends with a Gemini, to make their day more efficient, sometimes they'll start giving orders and tell you to go on little missions for them. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, after a certain point, I was like, wait a minute. Why you be trying to send people on little mini missions? I'm doing this right now. And just because we going to the same place later, nigga, make a stop for you so I can bring something you need to where we both meet up. I ain't yo, Geminis are funny as hell. Cause they'll be like, oh, what you finna do, bro? Yeah, let's go get drinks. Yeah, oh yeah, by the way, if you could on your way stop by this place and, like, you know what I'm saying, do this, or like, can you pick up my dog too? And then they done calculated, and they it's on your way. Like you could just kind of go up the street and it's just a quick left. You know, it's on your way. You could just pick up my this, that, and the third. Pick up my dry cleaning and we can meet up and I can get my, and they smart as hell. They logistics. They got all the logistics. They know where you gonna be at, where this gonna be at, and they thought it out. They like, come on, just help me out. Just help, man. Gemini's crazy, bro. And as a Pisces, like, I don't mind helping, but when I see a system involved, like, oh no, this a trap. It's a trap, bro. This is a trap. They be funny as hell. But yeah, so that's what's going on. The moon also, he said exactly, then it already made it more sense. And that's the problem, because it's different if they came to me and was like, oh, I made both of us like, oh, I got something, you da, da, da. It was a fair exchange or something like that. But they be doing some shit, it'd be just for them. It would just be just for them and they twin. That's it. Nobody else. Me, myself, and I. Dun, 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 dun. Me, myself, and I. I wonder if anybody gonna know that reference. It's just me, myself, and I. Lost soul. But real shit, like, it'd be like, what the fuck? You ain't even applied it. Like, man, it's helping you. But yeah, type shit, but this shit crazy. That shit crazy. I love Gemini's always, like, as far as friendships, Geminis do be cool friends though. You know, always, it's like a lot of times when I just instantly kick off with people and I don't even understand. He said, no, a low octave Gemini that in reverse to their own demise. Exactly. Too many connections and too many things that was too planned out. They got too many people involved. I seen that too. He invite two people on a date, come to the same location. You know what I'm saying? Right. He said come in clutch for people who ain't worth shit. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? That shit is cool. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, anytime I instantly hit it off with somebody, usually, and I don't know they sign, it's a certain way the conversation goes between that, because it's like I always have good, maybe because I got my Mercury in Aquarius and shit, but it's always kicking off a good conversation, and then be like, yo, nigga, where you born? And oh, that's right, you're a Gemini, that's why. You know what I'm saying? It's always a smooth friendship though. Geminis are real cool friends. You know what I'm saying? If they really your friend, and if they are, you know what I'm saying, high octave. But yeah, so you know what I'm saying, so right now it's kind of deep on that end. It's like right now it really is about efficiency. Spend more time cleaning space out, you know what I'm saying, and that start with your mentality and the way you've been thinking about things. Sometimes it's like, you know, you got to see where your own mind has created restrictions for you. So now create that time moment, reconstruct how you're thinking about things so that you can now build on that. It could be fresh energy for you when the time is right. The time ain't necessarily right now though. You know, a lot of the energies we got in the sky are things we got to iron out. So it's a lot of like misunderstandings, and then it's also a lot of retrograde energies, and then kind of reverting into water. So to prevent things getting too muddy at the moment, you need to create a little bit more of a structure and a focus on investing more into what you value, investing into more what you want to build, and work. It's kind of tough because you got to work to get out of yourself, work to get yourself out of feelings that just don't apply to where you trying to take your life. Like sometimes it's just inefficient feelings, and that's kind of like what Capricorn moons understand. Sometimes feelings are just not useful. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can turn anger into a good ass movie script. Sometimes you can turn sadness into a ass song. But sometimes that type of sadness, that type of depression, or that type of frustration or something like that, is really useful because it's not really rooted in, maybe it's not rooted in truth. Maybe you're the one who's misinterpreting things. Maybe your perspective is not right. You know what I'm saying? You can only really use things that, like, sometimes the reason why some people find it hard to use certain feelings is because they not actually feelings in a natural state. Like, it's some people who their natural state is more jovial or more pleasant, or more I say pleasant, but more happy. Or some people's general natural state be more negative and more maybe in that sad mood, shit like that. So sometimes you got to understand your natural state, and when you be in certain feelings that's not your natural state. And I'm talking beyond happy or sad, because sometimes people's natural state be sad. So it's in a weird way, they be more peace with being in sad, low energies. They're more at peace being in frustrated, angry energies. It's like, it's a weird thing where I like to say psychology mixes with astrology in a sense, because astrology is basically energy that you felt most comfortable with coming down here. But your psychology develops, and based upon like the relationship between the two, you're gonna lean on certain thoughts and feelings more than another individual. So again, your natural state though, a lot of times some people like to be in that kind of sad space, or some people like to be more in go-lucky space than others. So again, this is a year too, we got to be very mindful of who we matching energy with, and who's around us, and where they natural state in, and that's going to determine how much time we really need to spend with certain individuals and things like that. But in general, whenever you're out far away, or you got too many feelings that don't match your natural state, it can kind of make you feel like you don't know what to do with those feelings. This is why sometimes you get into it, and the person you around or with, they'll give you a certain feeling that you don't know what to do with. You might care about them, you might like that person, but the feeling you don't know what to do with it. So it can either lead to positive situations where you learn aspects of yourself. Usually it's a balance. Either you're learning new aspects of yourself and you're like, hey, I'm learning what this side of the life feels like, or it's the other way around, where you continuously don't know what to do with them, and then it becomes too much, where you need to separate and have your own space and remind yourself who you are again. I'm saying sometimes that all relationships end up getting to a place where they need space. So that's a natural thing. So but it's degrees and intensity. Sometimes it's on a high intensity and high degree, but sometimes it'd be low. It'd be like, oh, we just need some space, and I go in my room, you go in your room, and we can come back in a couple hours. Or, you do your thing, I do mine in the same room. We just chilling. Again, different relations is going to have different ways of doing that. That's why it's important, especially with Venus and Aquarius too, understanding, and even Pluto in Aquarius, and how we're going into that kind of Aquarius, and where I talk about communities, knowing how to engage with others, create a system that works for us relation wise. That's what makes an association powerful or successful or healthy, rather than toxic. The toxic associations are ones in which we can't quite get our system down. One of us is always in a space where we don't really want to be at, and are forced to kind of do something that we don't want to do. But if we can get our system right, where we have a nice balance of us doing a little bit of what we want to do, us being able to be individuals, but also engage in things together, but then be individuals, and that dance that Aquarius likes to do, that's the healthier that our relationship going to be, or our association going to be. That's important for communities, because in a community, in a village, everybody in our might not fuck body at different times, but there's a common bond, there's a respect, there's a connection there, in which it makes sense for us to be still associated. It's the shared business or just shared ideologies. You just might see it from a different angle, but a way to conduct ourselves that doesn't have to be disrespectful. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be overly aggressive and things like that, and we can still get what we need done. And when times come for us to connect and stuff, we can do it without any malice. We can do it without any harsh feelings, any contempt and shit like that. All that shit I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Comes to going back to the moon. The moon in Libra is also sextiling Mercury in Sagittarius. So this is an opportunity for us to relate to what makes us feel free, or relate to what can expand our minds. So that's a positive aspect. That's the moon and Mercury. So we can expand our minds a little bit right now, as far as possibilities and things to, right, boundaries with mutual understanding. And that's all an Aquarius is. A big old bag of boundaries. A big old bag of mental boundaries and shit. But again, in community, it's a common structure, that common system is the boundary. As long as everyone respects that boundary, those associations and that network can be successful. But when you get individuals in the mix that want to overstep boundaries and create chaos, that's where they might have to get alienated, exiled, or exposed or something like that, or rebelled against. You know what I'm saying? And if those boundaries don't work for anybody, that's when the people revolt. Cutting back into the government, that's what they're trying to create, though, with these a lot of these stories. They're trying to mix things up. So in Aquarius energy, they create a situation and scenario where people are inclined or more attempted to cross boundaries based upon them feeling like their boundaries are being crossed. So with all the, drones and stuff like that, and then they're trying to spin a story like the military don't know what's going on like that, even though they was making them drones in the same factory. All of a sudden, no government issues, police don't know what's going on and shit like that. And the police, they might not be telling certain strings of the military and stuff like that. They might not be telling certain law enforcement what's going on, but all of it is to, again, it's all a system. They're creating the show, so everything is somebody knows something who's telling others who nothing to still engage with it in a certain way, because again, that's how you organize and do things. You know what I'm saying? So when you understand those types of things going on, got Bugs Bunny in the chat. So when you understand that going on, you understand that all they're doing is spinning. Right now, they're trying to get you to think that knows where these drones is coming from. So they could be from a foreign country. They could be from here. But the gist of it is there's new technology outside. Now it's questionable who we should trust. The internet is about to get regulated in a way we haven't seen before. So there's going to be new restrictions and things that kind of open the door for, again, more chaos and disconnection, and the encouragement of people to say, man, it's too much. Let me just isolate. So they're going to get people on an octave Aquarius type vibe where people are going to, instead of coming together and figuring out ways that they can build with each other, you're going to get people who are stuck behind even more, all the way down to like working, you know what I'm saying, where most jobs are going to start to be replaced by robots and things, and be probably through some kind of virtual reality system where 98% of your jobs are going to turn into something that you can do at the crib remote, and it's just going to make more sense. And you know what they're going to do? Everybody right now is looking for the bread, and the bread is a new technology systems that they're launching to get people in a certain, again, everybody in a certain mind frame. So those are going to be the first jobs available to individuals who either get laid off from these robot jobs, or the first jobs available to those who, again, jump on that train and are able to build that new infrastructure or that new entry. And then when they jump into those vibrations, right, again, the incentive is going to be crazy. It's like anything that they start new. The best time to get into it is in the very beginning, before it becomes popular. Once it becomes popular, it's low-key too late. And you know what I'm saying, there's not as much money in it as when it first popped off. And then the last people are like the low-hanging fruit who get the scraps. And that's by the time the job no longer is really worth doing. That's like the first time DoorDash came out. When it first came out, niggas was getting paid. Uber was getting paid. But then, you know, when it became popular, okay, you can kind of do a little something with it. But now, if you're doing Uber, shit, you might as well just get a job at a convenience store or something. Like, you might as well just get a regular job, because at this point, it's not worth it. So, you know what I'm saying, it's probably decent. It could do a little this, a little that, but it's not really giving you no bag like it was in the beginning. You know, it's going to be that same thing with new technology and shit like that, new jobs, and even with Bitcoin to a degree. Right now, it's like, you better get you some. But it's still going to play the game where it's going to fluctuate. And, you know how to respond. You got to, like, you know what I'm saying, manage your own, you know, figure out your own way. You know, but, yeah, it gets pretty deep. You know what I'm saying? Now, that's what you see. So the government right now is spinning a lot of stories that are getting people kind of, again, afraid and questioning, you know, who knows what and why don't they know enough. And, you know, again, even down to the healthcare stuff, you know, where people are like, you know, they're all just getting and feeding. Right, DoorDash, right, all them apps, man. Uber, DoorDash, Instacart, all of them. Yeah, bro, like, what's the point? You might as well just get the little desk job, bro. You might as well just go to the call center. You might as well. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You could say, oh, it's convenient, but it's hard. Like, you got to hustle, like, a different kind of way. It's like basically owning a business. You really a contractor. You better get out there and work. You know what I'm saying? But it's cool because it'll do what it do. You know what I'm saying? It's the card that got me out of a lot of binds. You know what I'm saying? To help me out for real. But I'm just glad to not have that shit no more, man. It's a real talk. But yeah, so right now the story they spinning is just trying to get people confused. And get wins and stuff. It's just irrelevant information, but it's relevant in the sense of what they finna do to you. So everything you're afraid of, people gonna conjure up what is their solution, and then the government gonna see that, copy their own version of that, mandatory, make it mandatory to do this. Well, we gotta do that now, because see, the world is scared. See, the world is scared, even though they're the ones who got the world scared and created. Man, kid stuff, the stuff a kid would do. Kid wants you to believe something to be scared, so they created a story. Like it's all they do, but all of it is for the intention of getting you under control. So, you know, again, you don't have to look at it like, oh, how do I rebel and how do I oppose? But it's a matter of just get yours right now. You know what I'm saying? I would suggest, again, with Capricorn season, get stable, figure out something you can invest in, and then start to build on that. And then keep an eye out for individuals who you would connect to and be associated with that can continue and add on to that build, and you can add on there, so that teamwork can make the dream work. And who knows, y'all might be able to get to a space where y'all build something that's independent. You know what I'm saying? What we be doing, you know what I'm saying? That's why I like to, yeah, I'm into the type of things I'm into, because that's what I do. I'm a world builder. I build stuff. I like to bring things together, connect them, and then, you know, again, it's like it becomes potent. It becomes something that can stand on, and then boom, you know what I'm saying? Life path forward shit. It's like we gonna get this up into where, again, we not gonna have to be dependent on whatever the fuck they say is the right thing to do. Yeah, we'll be the judge of that, but we're gonna create something that works for us. We'll meet somewhere in the middle or something like that, maybe, if it's necessary. If it ain't necessary, we cool on it. We done got the sufficient shit. We got land with our own food. We got infrastructure. We got business, education, politics, and yeah, the other one. When I keep forgetting, say all that good shit, all them pillars. You know what I'm saying? And this one is actually one that don't make a person want to destroy themselves or others. You know, this is one that makes alleviate and heal their mental illnesses and stuff, because they can learn who they are and develop their own spiritual system. That's where the mental illness is coming from. It's a lack of a spiritual system, and the ones that they offer, again, you as a spirit are one of a kind. Therefore, there comes a point in which anything given to you as an indoctrination or a template is only going to be useful up until a point. But when you get to the real shadow work and the real inner workings of what's going on in your subconscious, you got to create your own way. Like it's no other way. That's why the spiritual shit is so real, because, you know, again, and even down y'all watching me, y'all watching the people y'all love to watch, and why it only makes sense for, after a while being invested in this kind of shit, to start making your own videos. You realize my videos, when I started making my own videos, they became a lexicon of my own discoveries, and that's why my shit feel different than other niggas shit. We might be talking the same language, but it feel different because this is my lexicon. And that's what I've seen over time in this, is when people really serious about this shit, they end up either doing something where they create their own whatever they do, they create their own lexicon. They become one of a kind and now have to become the lexicon of that history, of that mystery. I say the mystery of that. And that becomes, man, that's magic, man. Shit beautiful for real. And that's what I love to see. That's why I like to do consultations and shit, because it's all of this shit is helping each other. Each one teach one. It's like all of this shit is helping each other access that source so that they can become lexicons. And then the experiences we share together become the bond that we have to decide to, you know, hey, let's continue to build. You take your superpowers, I take my superpowers. Boom, we like the Avengers in this mug. He said spirits always gonna yearn for enlightenment, so that's why it's easy to be manipulated. Right, exactly, because people always gonna be thirsty for guidance, and the more locked in you in that human mind, the more afraid you're gonna be. And that's how they get to people, because they got people so afraid, they're desperate for anything. And that's like a real experiment. If you're somebody or something, they're gonna be, you know, they're gonna be I mean, they'll destroy themselves just to get it. You don't become animals. This survival mode. It literally is that. Exactly. Facts. Worshipping line leaders. Exactly. That's all the majority of us in. Because again, you watching the news every day. Like if you a typical mentality that comes from watching TV. You watch the news, you get afraid, then you turn on some entertainment, you watch your favorite celebrity, and you get inspired. But again, you obsessed with that celebrity because they are something to worship that represents something that you wish you could do. Or if you, again, people who be on the reverse, haters. It's them just done in the different side of the spectrum. Hating is what they say. Hate is the best form of admiration or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Hating be low-key admiration. And that's really what it is. Flipped. It's the other side of the spectrum. Like I was saying, I made a video, the thin line between love and the fact that it's a spectrum. Venus and Mars. So that's why the same things you love be the same thing you hate at the same time. And it's just how far are you on the spectrum. That's why friends, best friends, couples, married couples fight. Because it's the same spectrum. But it's a lot of love in that fight. But you only fighting for some shit you love. You didn't love that shit, you wouldn't fight for it. And you damn sure ain't loving something you're not desiring. You know what I'm saying? Age of Aqua archetypes, right. And that's why it's so ironic. It got everybody on the heliocentric, let me go viral energy. Like, let me be a character. And, you know, again, and we got to help the kids, man. The kids growing up and thinking that's the right way just because they don't know better. And see what you go, like, what Pluto generation is this? Gen X. What Pluto generation is that? Is that, because we in Pluto and now. So that, you know, but Gen X, that's like what Pluto and no, I'm saying Gen X, but I'm tripping. I mean the one that's right before millennials. All the generations before millennials, we dealing with what Pluto and Sag. And like Pluto and Sag. I think we even dealing with Pluto and Cap to a degree. Nah. I mean, yeah, it like the younger kids is like Pluto and Cap, but really like what, Pluto and Sag? So their whole life destiny, especially in this age, is going to start to become aware. See, right now, kids growing up, they are looking at what they see. They're inspired by people like Castanet. They're like, oh, I got to be a character. I got to do my thing. Da, 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 da. And that's kind of what they're coming from. They're coming from the age of the internet and everybody kind of being invested in that. As Sag is like right now, you might be questioning where they at. And I honestly think the youth is gonna be all right. I mean, I always believe that, and especially if there's people like me around and shit like that, be all right. But it's like a thing where I'm seeing where I kind of is like the Pluto generation that came after millennial. It's like those Pluto Sages, they have the expansion of the wisdom to be accumulated from, you know, because right now we kind of faced with the kind of lower octave aspects of that age of Aquarius energy, which is the kind of evolutionary. You got kind of more, I look at this energy as like, again, the go viral energy, misinformation. That next generation, you know, that Pluto shit, they're trying to find a way right now, but what they're going through is going to lead the ones who figure themselves out. It's going to lead them to expand and become the beacons of light, provide more wisdom to the generations to come. And that's going to be like passing the baton to the Pluto and Capricorn kids who are going to start to become the ones who make the structure. So individuals like me, I'm already looking future wise. It's like individuals my age, I'm about 29, I'm about to be 30. It's like are the new, we gotta stick to truth, because like I'm part of that generation that got the cusp with Pluto and Scorpio. Like we're the last bearers of the truth, and that's kind of what's, and I say we the last ones. Yeah, we the last bearers of the truth, and so we have to kind of create that transformation ourselves. Like, that's kind of why I see our positioning in it's like everyone who's in that age frame, we gotta really lay the transformation out. We might not see how far that the next generation is going to take it, but that's why I'm so intent on, you know what I'm saying, the youth and shit, because it's like what we creating, we have to be the push of transformation. So even though the world is having its own shift, with all this shit. We have to be that kind of squaring out and that teaching, that learning process of, you know, cleaning that slate so that the ones that come are able to have the freedom to continue to expand. You know what I'm saying? We kind of gotta go in the depths. That's that Scorpio shit. We gotta go in the depths and kind of to the root of that shit and kind of be ruthless with it. And then the next generation, they gonna have that open space. It's almost like natives, kind of the first ones. Let's say the natives had to have a war with the first wave of colonizers and shit. And so that sacrifice led the way for the next generations of natives to have the open land and the open space to say, okay, let's now, what can we learn from this? And they become those beacons of inspiration that the generations that come after that is looking at them and saying, oh, this is actually what can get built. This is actually what we need to build. This is actually, and this is what I want to take seriously. You know what I'm saying? And that becomes a beautiful thing. We actually progress in this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? He said, right, I see why Fly says it's the age of Aries. Right. And well, me personally, I like to look at the ages based upon all of the different angles. So yeah, you might have Pluto in Aquarius. Cause see, I don't think it's the age of Aries at all. Because the age of Aries would imply more individualism and more while being an individual is significant, it's more in the vein of Aquarius because it's more about association, communication, proper delegation of things, you know, rather than the raw with age of Aries. Age of Aries is a much different kind of individual. It's a different vibration of individuality that honestly a lot of those Aryan tactics really ain't gonna be as effective later on down the line. Now, next year we go into with Saturn going into Aries and Neptune going into Aries, and this is why I like the ages more so as all the positioning of all of the outer planets and the combination of their energy rather than just looking at one, because Saturn going into Aries, Neptune going into Aries are gonna make 2025 a very Aryan type year where you're gonna find yourself at war. You're gonna find yourself fighting, and you might find yourself alone. But the point of it is not to be alone, it's to know how to take your individuality and apply it properly to many different systems, and again, like community building and things like that, where you know how to apply yourself. Versus Aries aspect, the only Aries, the reason, the tone of Aries is going to be more so you having the vision to rebuild something new. That's like Saturn and Aries, where Saturn falls, but it falls because Saturn and Aries, even those individuals are the they're the ones who initiate a new vision for what needs to be built. So they play a role in the mix of, and everyone's going to kind of feel that energy. Saturn and Aries is going to be all of us accessing aspects of being like, oh, we have, what is the new spark of inspiration that's going to lead to what we build next? You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of them leading the way in that aspect. And then Neptune and Aries is, are we fighting for the right things? So the war Aryan energy, the Mars shit is going to be present, but it's way more about the internal aspects of who we are rather than it being the age of Aries, more so of a way of going about things at the moment. Because if you go about things like Aries right now, you're going to find yourself alone in the woods. And that's not where you're most efficient, and that's not where anything done is going to be accomplished. You being alone in the woods has nothing to do with what we about to enter. What we about to enter is a time in which, no, we need villages. We need people together. We need to know how we can operate as a team and coordinate something that's bigger than us for us to build something to create stepping stones, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So I disagree with that. He said 11 is really just 2 out per tier. Right, exactly, 1 and 1. Real shit. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying with the 1 and 1 on 11 Aquarius, and it, but 1 and 1, the sync, like to be 1 and 1 with amongst a group. You know what I'm saying? That's one group. I don't want to say one mind, but it's individuals in that group who make the relation. You feel me? You say, I appreciate your angling. I'm coming from the same aspect through the eyes of community leadership. Right. Now, see, that right there, again, hit the target, because that is, and that's why Aries on an intrinsic internal aspect is so key. It is key for 2025, because in order for us to be successful as a community, we need everyone to know how to be their own leader. And so that is very key, and I will agree on that aspect. And the sextile, and again, that sextile of both Saturn, which is like the structure reality. Everyone got to be a leader in that aspect, and everybody got to know what they fighting for. You know what I'm saying? Very, very real. You know what I'm saying? You said, which is still aqua. You broke it. What I was consulting with the 2025 angle. Real shit. Real shit. Real talk, man. Real talk. And it being a year 9, it is know better, do better type energy. Where it's like it now at this point, we know all we need to know alone. And let's say that we don't have shadow work, we don't got things to sort out in our own this and that. It's not cool to be alone. Look, everybody got to take their time alone. That's not what I'm saying. But as an energy, it very much is better. So we got to do better. But there's very little that isolation is going to do for you that's beneficial at this moment in time. It's kind of like, you know, and that kind of hints to just, again, where the energy is at. Even Uranus going in Gemini, where individuality now has to be shared. You know, our individuality now be shared. You know, you can't just be, again, we've been having Uranus and Taurus, very much a separation energy, but it's us getting out of accumulating right now everything of value to create that foundation. So that it's almost like the Uranus and Taurus is almost like if you was to make your own shoes, and you're kind of weaving in the foundation of your shoe. You get your shoes right, you're designing your shoe, you're structuring, putting the materials together so that when you step, the shoe is secured. And that step, in that walking in that path, right, being what it is, practicing what you preach, that actual step is going to look like, that's that Uranus in Gemini. It's like you actually able to step, make those moves, and then boom, you know what I'm saying, all of that affected and associated with properly, right? And then again, it's going to be a beautiful sextile Aries energy, because then it's going to be like, now as a collective, as a team, we able to move forward on a battlefield how we need to move, and we can protect ourselves, and we can do what we need to do. And again, it doesn't have to lead to extremes. It doesn't have to lead to bloodshed. It doesn't have to lead to negative aspects of things. It can lead to something harmonious, and that we look at as saying, oh yeah, this is successful. This is something that we can strive for in the future, and it's protected. You know what I'm saying? We can defend it type shit. But yeah, where am I at with the moon? With the it's a long ass live, but I didn't mean to even go this long. But moon being in Libra aspect, thank you, bro, because like honestly, that's what this is all about. Like your context, my context makes for better understanding overall. Everybody benefit, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to you know, Libra moon, what other aspects are there? Like I think Pluto too, yeah, is moon trying to, so again, a gift of emotional transformation. We gotta, again, it's time to use that trine to lighten yourself up, to be able to make that move and set those boundaries and set that in stone and get that blueprint laid out so you can actually make those movements. Yeah, that's the moon in trine and Pluto. Also, just, you know, a transformation on how you feel. Certain things should start to make more sense. How to go about it, you might not have all the pieces, but where things make more sense and where your energy might be more more useful and more worth. And that kind of relates, oh, speaking of worth, the moon in Libra trine in Venus, it's like worth, where to relate yourself to get most for your value. You know what I'm saying? It's like the moon in Venus trine in air signs. It's like understanding better dynamics on how to associate you, and also how to receive and get reciprocated too. So investing in itself. So right now you need to value your own mind. You need to love, appreciate your individuality, and now it's what you have at the moment available to you to offer that gift and support. You know what I'm saying? But support is coming from your individuality, so it's a lot more potent. He said, what does it mean when the sun is in Cap? So when the sun is in Cap, this is all attention to the reality of things. All of us paying attention to, we're probably more aware, or it's energy that might influence you to be more aware of your responsibilities, of things that you need to maybe take more serious. You might start to see different cracks and maybe an illusion that you was into. You might have thought things was all good, but Capricorn season, when the sun get into Capricorn, you start trying to see things from a different way. You might start to see some of the cracks into the picture. In Capricorn season, we need to take more authority over
over how we express ourselves, how we seeing things. Anything you trying to get things going in life, you need to be like, okay, let me take more authority over it, boss more so of it. And by being the boss, I really just mean you are properly assessing the resources you have available to you, and you figuring out better ways to kind of handle your business. So you might have been going about something previous seasons. Capricorn season gonna be the one you be like, wait a minute, this ain't working. Hold on, I'm not getting my resources from this. Hold on, I might be broke in this area. I might need to fix that shit. And that's gonna be you being like, take that more serious. If you on the high octave, low octave Capricorn energy, you might start to become manipulative or controlling about others and trying to use others to get things that are your responsibility done. Actually, what you're supposed to do, you really supposed to put yourself in the action and put yourself in the mode to take control over these things. So as you take over and be mobile, you able to kind of make things make more sense. And you got to stand on business in the sense of being firm about what you expect in that area. You say, I got Cap in the second house. Yeah, okay, so you got it in the area of life, dealing with the things you value. So you got to take what you value a lot more serious. You got to be the authority of your gifts and the things you feel as though you have to offer the world, your resources. So that might look like money, right? So being more restrictive and responsible about how you spend your money, making sure you're spending money on things into you or the things you value. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's kind of like the type of vibe you need to step into as the sun goes through your second house. You know, you're going to be more aware on the things that you value, or you should be. And, you know, you need to be more restrictive on others trying to take from you. You know, and if it's not something you value, you need to question why you invested in it. You know, if I don't value this, and an example of that, you know, things that land in your second house, right? They could be people, places, or things. You know, shout out to Saint Uno. He was breaking down how some people value money, but you might not value money. You value something like time with family. When it comes to what you value, you need to start to be more responsible about it. You need to make sure that you're spending time with family. If that's what you value, express that or spend more and energy towards that. And a lot of times we might get confused. We might say, well, the rest of the world values this or values that. And we kind of, again, we don't be an authority figure, or we don't take serious what it value. Instead, we trade it in with something somebody else value. It could be you valuing a person who don't value you. So you got to question, wait, why am I valuing this? Every time I am in it, it drains me. Every time I try to take this person on a date, I'm broke. Every time I need help with something, I'm the only one that got to do it. And this person that I value, I put in the house, ain't actually reciprocating. So I might need to create a restriction on that individual so that I can figure out what I want and what I spend more time investing in that, which might have to look like myself at the moment. I might have to love myself. I might have to do what I need to do. And then if this person really want to be in my life, they'll offer something that makes sense for the exchange. If not, I'm gonna just stand on business and let that die. You know, because we are, again, Capricorn season, also the initiating season of the death season. It's the initiating phase of the death season. So that means, like, you know, for the next Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, they are the death of the zodiac. So death just means it once was something else, but now through these experiences, it has to become something else. So it once was that, but through these experiences, it's going to become something. And so, you know, Cap, again, you got to be the boss out of it. You might have to get at your, see, Cap in the second house isn't necessarily emotional, but you might have a sun, moon, ascendant in a water sign, a fire sign, or an air sign. So depending on that, you might lean on more logic. So you might try to think it out and talk it out, or you might lean on more water. You might try to feel it out. Your feelings is, I feel like this though. I feel like this. I think like this though. I think like that. Or you might be fiery. You might lean on fire. You might be too excited, rushing and things like that. In Capricorn season, you're gonna have to be like a lot more cool, calm, collected, a lot more sensible, a lot more responsible and practical about what actions. Yeah, I might feel this way about this thing that I value, but does it make sense? Does it actually contribute to me practically? Or is this actually not making sense? It's not really, I value it, but it doesn't value me. It supports a lifestyle that I want, or supports me in a way that makes me feel so. because the second house is also security too. So if I'm not secure by it, it might not make sense to keep it around in my second house and keep valuing it. I can relate to it, but I don't need to value in it. We could be friends though, you know what I'm saying, type shit. So that's that energy. I think I done hit all the planets though. I'm trying to think. Mercury, Mars, Saturn. We talked about Pluto. We talked about. Yeah, I think about did it. You got about did it. So yeah, I appreciate all y'all tapping in, you know what I'm saying, on a spiritual Sunday. Just getting that good old sun energy, you know what I'm saying? So I'll make today look like how y'all want the rest of y'all week to look. Create that energy, create that space, that vision for what you want. And you know what I'm saying, again, get specific, but don't get too attached to the outcome. These next couple of days gonna be a matter of balance, but also learning where those boundaries lie. So make sure you staying on business with it and on those boundaries. And you know, again, be open to learn more about yourself, what you want, what you trying to build, and you know what everything in your life as far as balance. You know what I'm saying? We about to come up on a Capricorn new moon soon. So I mean, yeah, Capricorn new moon pretty soon. So you know, yeah, it should be dope. It should be dope. But anyway, y'all keep being great, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. The finale, you know what I'm saying? We had the Creators on Vacation finale. Go ahead, check that out. Shit, share it with somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And each one teach one, you know what I'm saying? We still got deals going. So if you're trying to get into that, go ahead, send me an email, E1T1 in the subject line, or hit me up on IG, Dave Beyond TV. You already know what it is. Much love. Peace.